Okay. Good evening. I am reconvening our regular Board of Education meeting for April 27th, 2023. And we are going to start this off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Principal Yolanda Saka, can you please lead us in the pledge?
Wow.
With enthusiasm. Okay, that takes us to our roll call, and Vice President Wong. Present. Trustee Venegas.
Present.
Clerk Coffey.
Present.
And Trustee Venegas, or Pizzotti. I know we're still on kind of like late.
Present.
And now for you. Yes. And I too
And now
am
for you.
president.
President? You are president. You are president. You are president. We're on East Coast time, everybody.
We had a long flight and we're a little bit tired, so apologies in advance. Okay. Announcements of actions taken in closed session. We have Government Code Section 54957, Public Employee Discipline, Dismissal, Release, and we have information received and direction given. Government Code Section 54957.6, Conference with Labor Negotiators, WSCA, CSEA, and Management, information received. That takes us to approval of the agenda. Are there changes to be made to the agenda?
Yeah, I would like to move item Q1 up in the agenda to just below L.
Okay, so Trustee Pizzotti has moved Q1 to below public comments. Any objections, changes? Okay, so can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have second.
Okay, moved by Vice President Wong and seconded by Clerk Coffey. All in favor?
Aye.
I too vote aye. And that takes us now to communications and celebrations. We have our student board member report, Christopher Campos, Yolo High School. Welcome.
Hello. Bridgeway Island is tapping into their girl power. Students from the Empower Her group created the Speak Up at School and Empower recruitment video to raise awareness about the group and their causes.
Hi, my name is Maddie.
And my name is Audie.
We are Bridgeway Island students.
We are working with Dr. Bafiko and Dr. Matt to make our school become a better place.
We recently attended an assembly on the Speak Up at School strategies that teaches us how to speak up for ourselves and others. Those strategies are IQE.
I stands for interrupt. If you see someone being bullied, you can say, stop, I don't like that.
Q stands for question. When you see someone being bullied or picked on, you can ask them a question like, do you understand what those words mean? Those words are actually hurtful.
E stands for educate. If you see someone getting picked on, you can say, do you know what you're doing can be disrespectful.
The second E stands for echo. Remember, numbers can be powerful. When there is more than one person sticking up for someone, there's more of a likelihood that they will learn their lesson and the bullying stops. Remember, IQE. I stands for
Interrupt. Q stands for
question. E stands for
educate. Second E stands for
echo. Remember, IQE.
Hi, my name is Presley. Hi, my name is Olivia.
Hi, my name is Leah.
Hi, my name is Layla. And we are part of the Empower Her group. In our conference, we learned how to be good female leaders and to find our voice so that we can stand up for what's right.
we develop our leadership skills
And how to find our voice and to be kind to ourselves and others.
This all comes down to our cause, which is to empower girls all around the school.
If you are a 4th or 5th grader and are interested in joining the Empower Her group, please contact Dr. Bafiko.
Let's get back to our school.
At Riverbank Elementary, they had a Kale Danza dance company assembly, which was filled with fun and enjoyment. Next slide, please. Elkhorn Village would like to congratulate 6 of their Elkhorn MESA students who participated in Saturday's 2023 Northern California MESA Regional Day at CSU. Our students had a great day at East Bay with one team bringing home first place. Tomorrow, Friday, April 26th, we will celebrate Dia de Niño, where we take some time and recognize all of our wonderful students. There will be music, activities, and some yummy ice cream for all to enjoy. Next slide, please. Southport Elementary would like to thank their PTO and sponsors for their color run happening this Saturday, April 29th. Starts at 8:30 a.m. They also celebrated Spirit Week at Southport. Students dressed as twins, tacky tourists, teachers, and staff. They would like to thank the board and Dr. Hildreth for providing professional development opportunities, and administrators. Ms. Saka and Ms. Henderson completed ACSA academics for leadership in the past week, and would also like to celebrate their administrative professionals, Monica and Cynthia. Next slide, please. At Stonegate Elementary, students worked in groups to find volume of different boxes to create their own zoo animals. Miss Sophia, 7th grader, The Outsider, Trial. Students are reading the novel, The Outsiders, and had to run their own core as characters from the novel. Next slide, please. At Westmore Oaks, they had a STEM night at Westmore Oaks on 4/27/23. Students and parents had a good time from learning from Westmore Oaks math teachers. They also like to celebrate college and career readiness by having teachers decorate their class doors and students parading around the school. Next slide, please. Westfield Elementary. Westfield Wildcats are so proud of their amazing Employees of the Year. Congratulations, Miss Burkholder, Secondary Teacher of the Year for WUSD, and Miss Nan, Classified Employee of the Year for WUSD. Next slide, please. Virtual Academy, their April trait is perseverance. 5th and 8th grade students completed the CAST science test. 5th and 7th graders finished the physical fitness test. Students are celebrated for their accomplishments over the last months. Art certificates for completion of asynchronous VAPA class. Students would like to celebrate Students of the Month awards for perseverance and iReady lesson awards. Next slide, please. Evergreen Elementary Opportunity. Hold on. Okay. Attendance is up and students are working hard. Looking forward to a school-wide celebration with Nacho Bar and Kona Ice. Huge thanks to Director Grote, Director Pina, and Cook Manager Diane. Working hard on getting chessboards to teach students about problem solving, patience, and creative thinking. Next slide, please. Washington Adult School. We have another student who just received their high school diploma. Congrats and thank you, Mr. C, Ms. Douglas, and Mr. King for all the hard work in supporting students. Next slide, please. YOLO High School. We want to give a big thanks to River City for allowing us to attend their prom this year. And I had a blast. I went. It was cool. I liked it. Man, it's hot up here. And dang, I don't know how to pronounce this. Yorgos. Thank you, Yorgos. Thank you, Yorgos, for all your hard work. and support in positively rebranding our campus. Next slide, please. Washington Middle College. They had a college visit day, April 21st. 9th graders attended Sac State, 10th graders attended UC Davis, and 11th and 12th graders attended UC Santa Cruz. Next slide, please. River City High School. 3 members of our RC Mesa Club competed in Regional Northern California Mesa competition and won first place. More than 25 businesses and organizations helped to create River City's Spring Career Fair. Next slide, please. Thank you.
Good job, man. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. And now we have our recognition of Thomas James David and Sylvia Martinez Villalobos for 15 years of dedicated service managing the Southport School World Peace Rose Garden. And come back on up, Principal Yolanda Saka of Southport School.
All the way, follow the mic all the way.
Thank you. I'm not going to see this one. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, Board Trustees and Board President Kirby Gonzalez. It is my pleasure to stand here tonight and express my sincere gratitude to a couple of people who have made an extraordinary impact on our Southport community. For the past 15 years, the two have dedicated their time, energy, and passion to making our community a better place through their message of peace. Their unwavering commitment to spreading inspirational messages of peace in the lives of others is truly inspiring. They have touched the lives of so many people, not just Southport, around the world, from the young to the old, and have helped to create a sense of unity and belonging that we all value so much. Their hard work and dedication to Southport's International World Peace Rose Garden have not gone unnoticed. And we are incredibly grateful for all that they have done for us. For 15 years, they have been the reason Southport has annual inspirational messages of peace and poetry contests. Student messages of peace are engraved on special plaques that surround our garden due to their hard work. Several of our students can proudly share that their poems can be read in the Martin Luther King Jr. National Historical Park in Atlanta, Georgia. They have laid the foundation for us and have set an example for us to follow. So on behalf of the entire Southport community, I would like to say a heartfelt thank you for your dedication, your hard work, and your unwavering commitment to making our community a better place. Your continuous contributions will not be forgotten, and we wish you all the best in retirement. Oh, we didn't give the camera to. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We're going to have you stay as well, and we're going to come join you.
Okay. Come join us. Do we turn this? It's on the other side.
Okay, for sure.
While we're lining up, I'm just going to share what's unique about Southport is that also
One more.
Okay. And that takes us to the recognition of River City High School's Rising Readers Program. Here goes Kazanis, Executive Director of Communications. Or Brittany Billingsley, our principal of River City High School.
All right, well, good evening, Board President Kirby Gonzalez, trustees, and Superintendent Hildreth. We're very excited to be here tonight. This is a long time coming. We have been in the planning stages for our Rising Readers program. Say that 10 times fast. For a while, and this year This year we got it off the ground and worked out the kinks and really made great gains in the world of literacy for third graders, done by our amazing high school students who are here tonight. I am actually going to hand this over because I was in the initial planning stages, but really it is Assistant Principal Buckley and our amazing VAPA teacher, Mr. Arms, who took the ball, ran with it, and created a famous program that we're going to continue for years to come. So please give a round of applause for them as they explain the program.
Thank you so much. I'm Holly Buckley, one of the assistant principals, and I'm here really to recognize the contributions of our amazing and dedicated student tutors who spent the entire year from September through April tutoring Westmore Oaks third grade students and fostering a joy of learning with all of those students. So thank you so much. These kids, our student tutors, they learned how to implement reading strategies. They learned how to running records. They fostered a joy of learning through working one-on-one with their students weekly. And Mr. Arms is going to explain a little bit more because he was instrumental in training the tutors and working with them. Not only did they tutor students, they tutored students on Zoom. So we all know how hard Zoom is. It was a learning experience for everyone. It was quite amazing. We did throughout the year have several meet and greets in which the Westmore Oaks students came to River City High School. They got to see the community, develop the relationships with their tutors, and in the very end, our tutors went to Westmore Oaks for our final celebration. But we just think that this program, what you're going to see here in the slideshow, is the experience of the kids, the love that they had for their tutors and for learning to read and engaging together. So that's what you're going to see now. Next year, really hope that we will be in person and really looking towards those running records and developing the data to back up what we have seen our students experience this year.
Good evening. So I want to continue what Ms. Buckley was saying is the relationships that were formed between our tutors and the students this year were immense. This last week we went to Westmore Oaks, and to see these third graders run to the door and hug their tutors that they have worked with on Zoom all year long, they've only met them 3 times in person, was fantastic. And for an hour and a half they sat there and they were coloring and reading and interacting, and it was fantastic. And these kids, they couldn't wait. They're asking, can we come back next year in 4th grade? Because they want to come back. Our tutors have been fantastic. We started with a great group of 12 tutors. So many of them are involved in sports, music, theater. They're doing other things. So they would come in every single day and work with these kids for a half hour, and then they would go and do other jobs or go to rehearsals, and they never complained one single time. It was really great. We worked with the reading specialist from Westmore Oaks who gave them some great training. They were able to choose multiple books each week to work with their students. And we really, really know that this is a beneficial program for these kids. Not only that physical relationship, but their reading. And so many of these quotes that you see in the presentation are from our tutors, working with them each week. And on one of the slides here, I think it might be on the third one, there's actually a section where we got some quotes from the third graders themselves. And to have a third grade student say to you, they had fun reading, they had fun learning, they had fun making that relationship with a high school student, that was huge for us. And so we really, truly hope that this next year we can again take this in person. We would like to recognize our tutors. We have 3 of them here today, but I do want to read the names of all of our tutors to recognize them.
In addition, we do plan on having a celebration with all of our tutors. So we did not bring the certificates today, but we will be celebrating with all of them at River City. The rest are in thespian club, they're in athletics, they're doing all the extracurriculars, and they made time to do reading tutoring with our Westmore Oaks kids. So thank you so much for recognizing all of them, Mr. Arms.
So in total, just so you're aware, we had 22 students from Westmore Oaks participate this year, and we had 12 tutors. So our tutors this year were Zoe Heimbuch, Dasani Childress, Ahmed Wali Basharmal, Mary Huffner, Kyla McPaul, Amara Rodriguez, Katrin Shevchenko, Sydney Iceberg, Jaden Rios, and with us this evening we have Bianca Romero, Larissa Garcia, and Samantha Klein. So we'd like to recognize these 3 and all of our tutors this evening. And very briefly, I would like for the tutors to come up and just very quickly share some of their experiences with you from this year.
I wanted to say thank you for letting me speak before I get the chance to speak, but with tutoring, I felt a bond between students. It wasn't like, oh, I have to go tutor, I have to do this. I was excited every day to go after school. They felt like little siblings to me. So I want to thank Mr. Arms and Miss Buckley for giving me the opportunity to tutor them, because I'm sad now that the program's over. I feel like I lost a little sibling, like they're not with me. So I'm excited to continue next year. Thank you.
Hi. I'd like to thank you guys for the opportunity that you gave us to tutor these kids. They were amazing. One of my favorite moments was when one of the kids learned what a compound word is. He did a little hand movement. It was very funny. It was very cute. And I think it was really rewarding to really sit there for a year and listen to them read and learn new things. And their faces, their really happy faces when they were like, oh my God, I could read a book. It was amazing. And I want to thank you for letting us have this opportunity. I want to thank the teachers that got involved to help make this program. I'm very glad to hear that it's going to continue next year. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. It was really fun, and I love seeing that the children were happy to read. Like, I've never seen children that happy to come to tutoring, to want to be there, to be upset when it's over, and it was an amazing experience, and I love the bond that we had with the children, and it went by so fast, I'm gonna miss it. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So we plan to continue next year, and again, with the data analysis, that's going to be the next piece, is to gather to ensure that we are really focusing in on the skills that the students need, and of course, trying to figure out a creative way to do it in person, because really that is where the impact will be. So again, thank you very much for the opportunity, and thank you to the district for paying the tutors. They were paid in order to do this. A lot of them already had their service learning. We got that going. We had meetings with HR and business services, and everybody was on board and really made it happen. So it was a team effort by everybody involved. So thank you.
I I'm going to have you wait just a minute because I think we want to honor you. You came all this way. You gave up your evening and come down and shake your hands as well. I also want to acknowledge, though, that Trustee Venegas has talked about this for a long time, about the power of students supporting students and doing it while they get paid. And so I want to acknowledge that, and seeing this here and the work that you've done is really thrilling. So we want to come down and shake your hands as well and give you a big thank you. All right, and that takes us to our CSEA report, and we have President Daniel Gandara. Welcome. And Vice President Pagano Turn.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Good evening, Superintendent Hildreth, Board President Kirby Gonzalez, and trustees. I would like first to acknowledge that tonight we have on the board agenda the reclassification of 3 job descriptions. I would first like to congratulate my classified members who are being reclassified. We would like to publicly acknowledge our members, who many are here tonight. Please stand and shine if you are present. I know they're all here. You guys stand up. Many of these amazing classified members have dedicated years and years of service to the district, to our students, and to families. So I want to thank you for the reclassification. I would also like to congratulate the HR analyst who is being reclassified tonight. If anyone knows me, I have never talked about anyone in this district receiving compensation, ever. I've never stood up here against compensation from anybody getting it. But it's concerning to me how this process goes for this senior analyst position. I would like to know, did she receive a starting negotiation of 41 cents like my members did? I would also like to know, when they came to the agreement, was Human Resources upset, visibly upset, like they were when when me and Ruth came to the agreement of our classified positions? Because the process was very unnecessary and contentious. Also, in our last relations meeting on April 11th, I believe, we discussed tonight's reclassification and being on the board agenda. And in that meeting, we also discussed when compensation would begin, and Human Resources let us know that it would begin July 1st, like it always does. So I asked for a print of the last 5 years of reclassifications when the district and CSEA have agreed before July 1st. We haven't. So it only makes sense for those in August, September, October to be retroed back to July 1st. I was told in that meeting, July 1st would be the effective date for my members sitting here. I would like to know why. President Kirby Gonzalez, you're a certificated teacher. You're in labor. Superintendent Hildreth, I would like you guys to tell my members that they, for the next 2 months, are going to be providing a service for free that the district acknowledged and provided a reclassification for. So I would like to know why they're going to be expected to provide a service for free. And any one of you guys up here can explain that to them. That's concerning to me. Lastly, I would like to talk about, on a positive note, I would like to thank Carla Salvo, she's here today. We met with her on a situation that is happening at one of our sites. We met with Ms. Salvo yesterday and had a very positive and productive meeting. I would also like to say in that meeting, I think it would be beneficial for all classified, but paraeducators and certificated teachers that have paraeducators to have some kind of training together so they can build a bond and effectively support our students. With that, I will turn it over to my Vice President.
Good evening, Superintendent, Board, guests. I would like to start tonight by also sharing my appreciation for the reclassification agreements pertaining to our members. For years, many have been fulfilling their previous job duties and additional duties, which were stacked onto their already full and challenging plates without adequate and fair pay. Although the reclassification process was difficult, we are grateful the district has begun to recognize their worth and expertise. We hope moving forward that our HR department extends the same treatment to our classified members who are in the reclass process as they have given to themselves. I would also like to extend my gratitude to Assistant Superintendent Panu for assisting in resolving a 5-month-long investigation and potential formal grievance related to progressive discipline as outlined in our CBA, not being followed at Yolo High. We appreciate him stepping in. The remainder of tonight's report is on the community schools partnership with United Way. CSDA wants to make it very clear that we support the idea of a community school program in the sense of providing additional resources to our students and families. Partnerships with the YOLO Food Bank, like the Students Farmers Market this week, are so needed and something that we all can support. Food insecurity is real, and it's a growing concern. We are adamant that a community school model can happen and be successful when everyone's voice is heard, and safety is a shared top priority. While the community school planning is still in the beginning stages, we want to make sure you all hear our concerns over one aspect of this initiative, which is campus safety. Our classified members serve in a multitude of different capacities throughout this district. The addition of any more persons to our campuses during the day would greatly impact their ability to focus on their primary duties and responsibilities, in which student safety is at the forefront. If the district decides to allow the general public onto the campus, including parking lots, during school hours, then additional campus security, secretarial staff, and other positions will need to be hired. We would suggest additional cameras as well. A security team should be formed and present at the front office and roaming the parking lot, similar to what you all have here at City Hall for your safety. I would encourage public and transparent conversations to happen now pertaining to the actual implementation plan, because just to be clear, we do not support inviting the general public or community members with no connection to our schools to our campuses while students are present. Please ask yourself questions like, who is going to be screening members of the public at the entrances to the resource centers? How are you going to ensure that there aren't members of the general public trying to access our campuses with any criminal intent? How is WUSD going to handle a community member in crisis? What if they have a weapon? We really need to pause and think about this carefully prior to an official plan being finalized. Lastly, we want to encourage the board to help restore our partnerships with West Sac PD, not in terms of special events, but to bring back school resource officer positions. This is not political. It is not a joke or to be taken lightly. We must understand that safety is something that needs to be prioritized and a focus moving forward. At times, we all recognize that media or politics in general can add bias, depending on which way information is presented. Ask our staff members, ask our students, ask our families, survey them, ask them what they want to see. SROs would also be able to help educate the district as to best practices when providing resources to the general public, like the requirement of identifiable information, CPTED principles, the fact that safety personnel should always be present at entrances and exits, similar to what is downstairs of this chamber or in the lobby of the police department. In researching other community schools and partnerships with United Way, we have found none. There are no schools in this region currently partnering with the Capital Region United Way for a community school. So basically, there's no example, no prior experience to reference, no established relationships to verify with any other school in the region. Without historic or present-day information, we are concerned that this pilot program is happening without considerations like safety at the forefront. Thus far, there have been no safety discussions pertaining to community schools with CSEA at the table. We have 24 days left of the school year. At the regular board meeting on March 9th, a future board item said, Community Schools Update March 2023. At the March 23rd meeting, there was no presentation or update given, and the future board item just dropped off the agenda. It just disappeared. We can support students, families, and our community in healthy and productive ways through a community school model. Again, we must be extremely mindful, have courageous conversations as to the how and when. In case you all did not know, the #1 request from every listening session was that the community wants additional mental health support. So if that is what the community wants, then those resources should be provided. When those resources or any resources provided, there should be absolutely no compromise to our students or staff members' safety. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, CSEA. We have our WSTA report with President Knapp. Oh, sorry, not with President Knapp, with our Vice President.
I was going to say I lost a little weight and got handsome. Just kidding. I love Doug. Doug is occupied tonight and has asked me to deliver your WSTA report. Good evening, members of the board. I love Doug Knapp too, by the way. Please, he'll take that lightly. Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Hildreth, President Kirby Gonzalez, members of the cabinet. I have several things to talk about tonight. One of them will be, I will also loop back from a WSTA position on the community schools project and the goings on from our lens. I do need to talk about first class size. Word through the grapevine is projecting, WSD is projecting maximum capacity at overages looking forward. This is and will probably have impacts on multiple grade levels. That is concerning. We can all agree that the lowest ratio is the best for class sizes, whether it's kindergarten where it's capped at 26 by state law, or whether it's in a high school science lab where less is better, so that safety is obviously a concern, but just learning. I can sit up here and talk and tell you all the amazing things that Principal Billingsley and I have been working on in regards to safety and in regards to SEL and in regards to providing pathways and activities. I will always come back and put in a frame of reference the #1 thing to help move student learning for quality first instruction and lower class sizes. It is always the easiest and hardest thing to do at the same time, lowering class sizes. This board has said numerous times how it will place students first. How is that achieved in any way, shape, or form when we are looking at projections that potentially might max out class sizes, not reduce them? We must utilize any vacancies at existing school sites. Again, we can all agree that it is making zero sense to have a 30% below capacity at an existing site and a 30% above capacity at another site. My point being, utilizing the resources we have to move students if we must, and we need to have those conversations, but we cannot have a 30% overage at one site where there's a 30% deficiency at another. That is inequitable, and it's unjust. We are outgrowing our spaces at RC too. Shared spaces are a concern. Teachers, obviously, post-COVID and in our job, we're tired. You're getting burned out. President Kirby Gonzalez, you're approaching the end of the year as well, and we're all feeling that fatigue, and we are doing our best to keep our students motivated, invested, respectful, safe, and included in all of the activities. It is harder and harder for teachers, and it wears to students too. Having those spaces and places where we know that this is our classroom, or I don't have to move twice a day, those are discouraging for teachers when they have no home or feel like they have no home. I understand that they are the district spaces, but teachers make classrooms their own to make them as inviting and as comforting for student learning as possible. Please hear that concern when we say we are outgrowing what we have at River City, and we want and our students deserve the best. Second topic for you tonight is the topic of community schools, and I echo the sentiments of my CSEA brothers and sisters in safety being a foundational priority. Safety is and must come first. With that being said, Pillar 4 within the WUSD framework demands collaboration and co-facilitation for the community schools models. Co-facilitator. I know that we're tired. I know that we have a lot of work to do in a short time to do it. But that co-facilitation must take place with all educational partners. Currently, to this point, this process has been conducted with the quote-unquote consultant decide model. That is concerning. The district might find something appropriate, simply gathers information and ideas from members for the steering committee, and then makes plans assuming that simple information gathering was enough. It's not. That is not enough. That is a consultant decide model that makes us have to work backwards. I do not want to come here in September and have to fix things that were decided upon that no one had a say in. That is a backwards model and not progressive. That is regressive for everyone involved, especially the most impacted, which is our students. We cannot allow that. The consultant decide model is, one, outdated, and it's a veneer. If that's what we're and how we're going to operate, it's a veneer of what WUSD is projecting. We cannot collectively design a community school where community itself is not fully included in this process. I also need to bring to your attention early childhood education and TK, something that's close to all of our hearts and something that we've talked about and ruminated on before. Private ECE and TK community members send amazingly well-prepared and flourishing students to all WUSD classrooms. It's a critical part of the community, these private ECE and TK community members. Since they have been around since the founding of the district, please keep in mind those spaces and places that send us amazing, well-prepared students are vital to the K-12 process. I, as a single subject high school teacher, have always been a firm believer and adherent in First Five, as well as getting 1 million words of literacy in. So I'm very thankful that Principal Billingsley, Vice Principal Buckley, and Arms and Shuba, yes, as well, Angela Shuba, are taking that good work, and that raised my glass tonight. That filled my cup, okay? Please keep in mind that that cannot be left behind for students, okay? The transition to universal TK is coming. Please include these members of our community in this discussion. They are vital to our students' long-term success, and it starts when they're young. Concerning tonight as well as the topic of SPED, we continue to be overwhelmed with no end in sight. Administrators are working, at my site specifically, diligently and as constructively as they can, but it is holding back a tide. Everybody is tired in the SPED community. There is, angst, frustration, lack of resources necessarily getting at time and places, and people are doing as best as they can, as fast as they can, but we need, and I'm telling you, we need more. I would like to offer to the district the ability to come to the table or talk about incentive SPED positions, changing the salary schedule, or a year-by-year incentive. If we want to get the best and brightest in an area that is teacher deficient already and is already challenging in its skill set, we need to elevate those positions on the salary scale, whether that's a $3K to join, or we're trying to attract and maintain and retain the best and brightest in the SPED community, and then a $1K salary to stay. I am open to those conversations. We all are, and we know it's best for kids, especially our most affected and highest need students. WSA is open to willing to begin discussions on these topics, and hopefully the themes and words of support which are consistently echoed here become tangible action, all in benefits of our students. Substitutes have been concerning, and whether it's coverage or whether it is district-wide, it is of concern, and it needs to be elevated again. It is easier at the high school, I will give that, and I was reframed tonight with a colleague who helped me really understand what it's like at the K-8s. It is so much harder when you have subs at the K-8s. I was a little remiss in how much I didn't know about it, because we have a great system at RC. People cover easily, and it's good. It's helpful. We support each other. That isn't the same at a K-8. Those kids get pushed in. Those kids are gone from their teacher the entire day. That breaks my heart. That breaks me, because I never see it, and I heard about it. And from that angle, it's something I have to get up and fight for. This continues to manifest itself. It becomes a community problem, and we don't want that. The irresponsibility is affecting admins too. My admin team is tired. They are working and trying just as hard to get their subs and people to replace them. How can they help in the classroom? Do they need to step in? This is a lack of execution of duties. Major cause of burnout adds to this negative feedback loop. I can't get a sub. I take a day. Now it's putting onto those kids or my peers. My peers are having to lose their prep at the K-8s. This is a negative feedback loop, and it's dangerous. We have to find ways to encourage and work together with HR to raise and elevate our sub count, whether it's taking lists of student teachers who apply for residency in the fall and making one of the requisites of the program that they become emergency sub credentialed, so we have a body of subs at a school where they are interning and giving their labor for free extensively, and they can get sub pay while they are earning their credential. That is an easy check box, in my opinion, when we're onboarding student teachers from Sac State, CSU, or National University. I would like to see that happen. Further, discipline and support at the K-8s. Some sites are better than others, but all sites are struggling with discipline. Whether it's Riverbank and having law enforcement having to come, or whether it's just a general tone. PBIS is a wonderful metric, but, and I say this cautiously, okay, there are times and places when it is hard to be the tough parent. And we can do those things and we make those measures, and I appreciate the Rise Center and everything it does for kids. Kids are enjoying those spaces, and I see changes, but there has to be some level across the board to support discipline. Teachers feel unsupported, admin are feeling overwhelmed. Habitual campus issues need to be supported better by the cabinet. Admin, again, they're not even in my union, and I'm advocating for them because they are overloaded. Cabinet needs to make it clear to prioritize and support discipline, supportive discipline, not regressive, not punitive, but just discipline. The word itself in the dictionary has about 4 different meanings, and they're all applicable. If admin aren't supported, please hear me on this. If admin aren't supported, how can staff and teachers feel supported? Lastly, I have an enormous celebration as a veteran, as something that's close to my heart. The MSA, Muslim Student Association at River City High School, celebrated the end of Ramadan. Eid al-Fitr ended last week, and it was an amazing place and space for those students. I see them in my classroom. I know that they're a little thirsty and hungry and tired, and that dedication and discipline and devotion to their faith is rewarded with that wonderful celebration. I was proud to be a part of it with Vice Principal Malik, as well as the MSA Association advisor, Mr. Alan Horman, and to my Muslim friends out there in the community, I wish to say Eid Mubarak as well to them and respect that moment. Finally, I would like to also make a land acknowledgement. Please keep in mind this land that we are standing on was taken, not given, from the Patwin people. With that, I thank you for your time. Have a wonderful evening.
Okay, that takes us into our public comments. Thank you. We have, currently we have 3 public comments. And then as a reminder for time, since I know we have many guests this evening, then we also moved our resolution, which will be after public comments. Okay, here's our disclaimer. Members of the public may address the board on topics of our board agenda during every meeting. In addition, during regular board meetings, the public may also address any topic within the jurisdiction of the board. Please know the board is listening to your comments, but by law cannot meaningfully respond in this forum to items not on the agenda. The board may limit the total time for public input on any topic to 20 minutes unless it waives the limit for an item. Individual speakers may be limited to 3 minutes to comment on any topic. The board respects the right of members of the public to speak regarding matters within its jurisdiction. However, please recognize that comments regarding students other than the speaker's own children made during a public board meeting may be a violation of the student's right to privacy, and thus the speaker may be legally liable. If you reference a student's name other than your own student, you may be deemed out of order. Furthermore, it's important for the public to understand that negative or derogatory comments made against district employees or others, even those made in a public board meeting, may be actionable civil defamation. Although the board may not prohibit such comments, the board policy allows the public to lodge complaints against district employees, providing more opportunity to be heard than is allowed under the open meeting law that governs this meeting. So with that said, our 3 comments. Our first one is Beverly Logan.
Good evening. I introduce myself. I'm Beverly Logan. I was a parent at Bridgeway. My daughter went all the way through 8th grade. In addition, I currently teach 2nd grade, and I love teaching 2nd grade. So I'm just going to go right into it. For the past 4 years, my students and I have gone without having a proper working air conditioning unit in my portable classroom. Throughout this time, I've done what I can do to work through the system. I've put in several work orders. And after several months, they did send a technician who said nothing was wrong. On September 8th, temperatures in West Sacramento reached 109 degrees. Inside my classroom, it was well over 90 degrees. One kid vomited, and others complained about stomach aches. That afternoon, I started to hear from parents who were very upset about the situation. Since I'm not an HVAC technician, I referred the parents to the front office so they could share their frustration with the school leadership. However, instead of fixing the air conditioning unit, the following day, I was reprimanded for telling parents to call the office. My personal health also suffered during this time. I've had multiple bouts of pneumonia and bronchitis. I've had to go to the ER. These are the records. The medical teams that have treated me have all indicated that it is probably because of the workplace environment. After being chastised for referring these parents to the office, I felt my only option was to file a grievance requesting maintenance for the air conditioning unit for the health of my students and myself. On September 15th, the HVAC team came, They did a great job. They cleaned out the ceiling vents, the wall vents, even the wall grill. And as you can see from these pictures that I brought with me, it wasn't in the best working condition. So here's where I'm really struggling with. I have a well-documented, successful 27-year career hallmarked by results-oriented teaching and professionalism. But that week, things suddenly changed. Within a week of filing the grievance, I was provided several unannounced classroom observations, reprimanded in front of my students, called into the office at least 3 times without notice or the ability to make subplans. I was also excluded from the meeting with Mott to discuss what was going on with the air unit in the portable classroom. And now suddenly the feedback is that my skills demonstrate a beginner status. Finally, last week, I received notice that I am being involuntarily transferred to 5th grade. This is a grade that I have no experience in, and nor do I have indicated any desire. So I've asked myself, why is this happening? I think we all know. I request that the board rescind this involuntary transfer, and I believe it's unjust. Thank you.
Thank you. Azita Jubei.
Good evening, I'm back, and hopefully in 2 years I will never come back here. I am going to tell you about the experience that I've had this year. I have one of the classes with 26 students as of October of this 2022, and I can tell you exactly what's going to happen to the rest of the teachers if the district sends 26 students per class. I have no place to walk between the rows. I've tripped 3 times. I have a back problem, back surgery, and if I fall down, something's gonna happen. So I've already expressed my, concerns via email in the beginning when I heard the news, but I still got 26 students in the classroom. What I'm concerned about is not myself. I know how to handle it. I've handled it. You can check the scores for my classroom. They have all improved 1 or 2 grade level. And I had the class with the highest number of lowest achieving students as far as their performance because of COVID and the year after COVID. So I have moved students performing in kinder to 2nd grade with that condition. But I have the experience. Not everybody has that experience. I've had years of experience in 1st grade and 2nd grade. That's what I was able to handle it. Your new teachers are not going to be able to do this. They're going to have a really hard time. Teachers who are new and teachers all the way to 10 years maybe, they're going to have a really hard time adjusting. Because I used to have 20 students. Now it's 26. Last Friday I had 21 and I was like, whoa, this is nice. Because I had more room to move around. There's limited space for my students to sit on the carpet. I teach from the carpet area. I believe in that. I'm an old school teacher. And then walking around and checking their work is a disaster. Small groups, I started on the 3rd week of school. I started my small groups. It has been going on every week. And I have 26 students divided into small groups, different levels. They love it. I love it. But believe me, it's going to be a really difficult time for teachers. Be mindful of the students' learning opportunities, mindful of teachers' health. I have never taken so many days off. I make up for it, believe me. I work with 2 groups. I take that day off, and I have to calm down and rest my head and my body, and then go back to work. I'll make up for it. Ask my students. But believe me, it's going to be a really rough road for the district if they do that to the teachers. I hope they don't. I hope they are going to be mindful of that. Think about the students' learning opportunities. It's going to be less and less every time you add a student. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last public comment is Corrine Almberg.
Good evening. I'm a second grade teacher at Stonegate. To kind of echo off what she said about newer teachers, I am only in my 5th year of teaching, and unfortunately, I have 25 students this year, and it is my first year with 25 students, and it's very difficult. My sadness is that it is the students losing out on education because there's just too many. I do what I can. I have students that are TK level, and I am trying to work with them, and having those students, it's difficult to differentiate for them. On any student, 20 students, it's difficult to differentiate. 25 feels like 40, and it's very difficult. The district states how important education is, but having 25, 26 students does not match that desire to really educate all our students. In addition to those students missing out on education, teacher well-being. I love what I do. I love my students, but this year I do not like my job. I do not like that I cannot provide for my students what they truly, truly need. The district's already aware of this. The district knows that the classes are possibly going to have 26 next year. And what I'm asking is that it's really taken into account how education is going to be lost for students next year, and that you're mindful of that. And when you make those final decisions that we don't have 26, and you take into account teachers' well-being and the mental health that it puts on the teachers for having to compensate for having 26 in our class. Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight and sharing your thoughts. I want to make a district follow-up in regards to one, and that is that we have the classroom inspected tomorrow in terms of the air conditioning unit, because we know it's hot today, it's going to be hot tomorrow, and we need to ensure that's an okay space. Thank you. Okay, that takes us now to our resolution, which is Q1 that we have moved up in the agenda. And we know many people have already stayed for quite a long time, and we appreciate that. So adoption of resolution number 2223-59, the Transgender Day of Visibility. Dr. Cheryl Hildreth.
Thank you, President Kirby Gonzalez. Yes, we are bringing forward a resolution for supporting International Transgender Day of Visibility, which supports the goals and ideals of our wonderful district. And I really want to start by saying this resolution really is about who we are as a district and who we support. And I think back to 21-22 school year when we spent 7 months as a community building a strategic plan. And that strategic plan heard voices from across the community of what's important to us. And what stands out is we respect all of our students, every single student. And that's making sure that school for our kids is a place where they feel safe and comfortable. And I just want to read part of what's in our strategic plan about our equity principles. That WUSD is committed to educational excellence and equity through identifying and removing systemic barriers stemming from inequitable practices, inequitable policies, and bias. And one of the core values in this statement is that we all committed as a community that we would ensure that all students, staff, and families are valued, accepted, and supported through embracing and celebrating their individual uniqueness. And there's so many times where we have the opportunity for our kids to see by our actions and our words that we support them, that they can see and they can hear that school is that safe haven. We are here to support them, and I think this resolution is one way that we can do that.
Thank you. And I want to share, You may be wondering, because International Transgender Day of Visibility was on March 31st, and this is coming a little bit late to you, or to us. On process, we have moved to adopting all of our resolutions at the beginning of the school year so that they are quickly rolled out to our school sites and that everyone is well aware of where we stand and what we're supporting each month. And so I want to thank Vice President Wong for bringing this to us, and we will all be sharing some comments, I think, at the end. After public comment, we'll do that. So that is the reason that this is coming to us this evening. And then in the future, it will go with our other resolutions. Also, we did join the City of West Sacramento, I want to acknowledge, in flying the transgender pride flag at our district office as well. I'm going to read you can read the full resolution. It is posted and we will have it up, but I wanted to call out just a few pieces of that here with us. Whereas the International Transgender Day of Visibility is designed to be encompassing a large community of individuals, including individuals who are non-binary, gender non-conforming, and gender diverse. Whereas according to the American Civil Liberties Union, so far in 2023 alone, 378 anti-LGBTQ bills have been introduced. 182 of those bills focus on schools and our education system, targeting transgender students and limiting their resources, discussing who they are and opportunities in extracurricular activities. Whereas the district has a responsibility to ensure that all students who reside within its boundaries, regardless of gender identity and gender expression, can safely access a free public K-12 education. Whereas the district welcomes and supports all students, regardless of gender identity and gender expression. Whereas the district recognizes that all employees are valued members of our school community, including those who are transgender, non-binary, and gender diverse employees and educators. Whereas the district recognizes that the families in our community come from many different forms, and the district values all of our families and students, caregivers, including gender identity, gender expression, or sexual orientation. Whereas in the political times we're living in, one day of visibility and showing our support to transgender students, staff, and community is not nearly enough to counteract the daily targeting, hate, and discrimination directed at this already marginalized community. Creating a welcoming and safe school environment for our transgender students, staff, families, and caregivers makes our school community more welcoming and safe for all, and our commitment is within the rest of this document. And for our public comments, I'm going to take us into, we have 7 public comments at the moment, and that will take us 3 minutes each. That will take us 1 minute over, and I'd like to do that to make that. Okay, so you have 3 minutes to come and speak to us, and the first speaker is Christy Jordan.
Hello, Board President, trustees, superintendent, and cabinet. Thank you for having me. I want to thank you so much for bringing this to our agenda today. My birth name is Christina, and I like it when someone asks me what I'd like to be called, and I tell them that I prefer to be called Christy. And when I log in through the IT department every day to look at iReady, I like that when I log in, I see the name that I prefer to be shown to me. My pronouns are she and her. And what happens in my personal life is my personal life, but I deserve that the respect of being called what I like and be referred how I like at my job. And I believe that carries into our mission and how we support our students in our district and in this city. I support, as a district employee, with pride that we passed this resolution. And this, to me, is equivalent to codifying. We know a lot that's coming around now, that laws have not been codified that should have been. And to this to me is like codifying it for all of our community and all of our students and our staff. So I support it, and thank you.
Thank you. Our second public comment is Maria Grijalva.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak, and thank you so much for bringing this resolution forward. I think that there is a lot of parents and a lot of children that are going to benefit actually from this resolution. I wanted to give you my story, my personal story. My grandson was born a girl, and at 8 years old, he announced that he didn't feel like he was a girl. And at 12, repeated this to us. And so for the longest time, it was really hard for us to have to adapt to this. But at 18, he was still determined that he was definitely in the wrong body. And that was just my grandson's personal experience. And now today, at 25, you would, by looking at him, you wonder, he's very, very neutral looking. And when people ask him, are you a boy or a girl? You know what he says? He says, it's none of your business what's in my pants. And so it's, and so this resolution is actually for my grandson. And I thank you for that. And then at the same time, I want, for me, calling my grandson him took me over 5 years. I kept saying she, and I was constantly reminded, I'm not she, I'm him. And it just 5 years. And so when you hear parents protest things like this, you have to understand that it takes them time to adapt and adjust. And sometimes parents feel left out. And that's the complaint that I had a parent come to me. They felt left out of these meetings this schooling that I'm not even sure what it's called, but I think it's a club or committee, whatever it is. But anyway, I'm grateful that we have it, myself personally. And I know that is just something that we really have to all adapt to and adjust to. And so, once again, thank you so much for passing this resolution on behalf of my grandson. Good night.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mario Guerrero.
Good evening. Such a pleasure to be here this evening. My name is Mario Guerrero. I'm president of Sacramento Stonewall Democrats, and it's truly a pleasure to be here today with a board full of champions of the LGBTQ+ community. I have to say on a personal note, I'm skipping tonight, putting my 14-month-old daughter to bed. They're probably putting her now. She's precious. And while I'd rather be there, I thought it was really important for me to show her through my actions that we're working to build the kind of world, the kind of community that we want for our children. So that is why I'm here today, or at least in great part. I am here to support item Q1, the Transgender Day of Visibility resolution. As you know, as you stated through your resolution, we know that the transgender community is under attack. Their ability to use facilities, make health decisions, they're all being attacked. These are just a few. This is a community, in particular the transgender community, that is over-policed, but not here. It's a beautiful thing to see this board support our most vulnerable students and make sure that they are seen and supported. Our transgender students are amazing. They are our future and they need to feel safe and supported. Thank you for supporting them. As a Latino single gay dad, it is important for me to be here. As president of Sac Stonewall, it is important for me to be here to say, we have your back. We will be here to support these efforts in the face of any attacks that come your way. Thank you. Briefly in Spanish, para la comunidad latina que habla español, es importante que sepan que aquí apoyamos a los estudiantes transgénero. Translated, for the community, Latino community that speaks Spanish, that's here today, it's important that they know that here we support our transgender community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Evan Minton.
Hi, everyone. I am so happy, and being a trans person in this day and age, there's not a lot to be happy about. We still have our trans joy, but I didn't know I was going to get this emotional. So anyway, thank you in advance. I'm the co-chair of the California Lieutenant Governor's Transgender Advisory Council, the co-chair of the Democratic National Committee's Transgender Advisory Committee. I've served as an expert witness to the United States Congress on LGBT attacks on the LGBTQ plus Americans, and I'm considered a national expert and a national leader on this matter. I'm approaching you tonight in my capacity as a community member. Since we wrote that resolution, since we drafted it, the number of bills against our community has actually increased. We're only a little bit more than 4 months into the year, and nearly 500 anti-LGBTQ plus bills have been targeted against us, introduced in state houses, particularly against trans youth, 220 targeting our schools and education. Locally, as a visible leader, parents come to me from this school district and others, parents of trans kids. They let me know, their kids are continuing to be misgendered, continue to be dead named, continued to be told that they're not allowed to go in the, facilities, restroom, locker rooms that by law they should be allowed to. This contributes, the societal discrimination and othering contributes to the astronomical 41% suicide attempt rate in the trans community. That is just astronomical compared to other communities. And so supportive school environments, what do we know about them? We know that they increase school attendance, they improve grades, and they increase the whole child well-being. And this is why this resolution is so important and it's so needed. And so I applaud each one of you who plans to support this resolution. I also, I asked just real quick to touch on the SRO on school campus issue, just because it does have an intersection with trans youth and LGBTQ plus youth. Studies, data, and lived experience show that law enforcement disproportionately target and overpolice those that they consider other. And while trans and queer adults are better equipped to adapt and navigate being othered by law enforcement and others in this world, trans kids and trans youth are not able to do that as well. And so, trans youth and LGBTQ plus kids are just trying to survive. They're trying to survive their lives. They're trying to survive the othering by their classmates. And so SROs are just they're not considered good, to be honest, for our LGBTQ plus kids, and I would be remiss if I didn't point that out at this moment in time. While a vocal minority of MAGA Republicans across the nation, and some here locally, want to rob the trans population of our health, our safety, and our happiness, we are still here, we are still fighting, and I am so grateful to have you all on our side. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we have Don Stauffer.
Good evening. Thank you for putting this on the agenda tonight. And thank you for standing up for the highest representations of WSD's goals, especially those related to making our schools safe places for all our kids and limiting disproportionalities. Thank you for standing up for some of our most vulnerable young people. And I'm looking forward to your 5-0 vote in a couple of minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dee Alvarez.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dee Alvarez. I currently serve as the Vice President of the River City Democratic Club. I also serve as a proud member of the LGBTQ plus community.
And hi, my name is Anna. I am the president of the River City Democratic Club, which is the West Sacramento Democratic Club. And I have 2 children that attend Stonegate.
We are here to represent the River City Democratic. We are here to represent the River City Democratic Club to speak in support of the resolution for the International Transgender Day of Visibility. Thank you to the school board and Washington Unified School District for putting forth this resolution that sends a message of love and support to kids who really need to hear it. directly from the Trevor Project's website. Many LGBTQ plus youth lack access to affirming spaces. Fewer than 1 in 3 transgender and non-binary youth found their home to be gender affirming, and a little more than half, 51%, found their school to be affirming. The Trevor Project's research consistently finds that LGBTQ plus young people report lower rates of attempting suicide when they have access to LGBTQ plus affirming spaces. So we're so grateful.
Thank you. Our last speaker is Karen Zanato. With our gender identity. Thank you. Are there board comments before we take a vote? Vice President Wong, and then Trustee Pizzato.
I didn't think I was going to be emotional, Fred. I want to thank Edmonton for being inclusive. It works all ways for reaching out and seeing me and seeing my child who suffered, who was not safe, who was queer-baited, who was not allowed to use her preferred, well, never mind. See, I'm learning too. We talk about safety. We don't see the visibility of what our LGBTIQA students and staff feel on our campuses, in our community. When parents or the public come here and make comments, it's a process for sure. But when we do not support and we allow those misrepresentations of who my child is, it hurts. It hurts us as a community. So I'm tired of us not recognizing that this happens, and it's unsafe for kids who are in this space to not have safe places to go at home. One of the things that I think I'll share in one of my interviews during a process was during COVID, like, Jackie, why do you think that, what's your stance on schools? I'm like, you know what? Schools are safe, and schools are safe. You need to create spaces for our kids who cannot be who they are at home. That they come on campus and they have loving adults who see them, who love them, who give them what they need. And that doesn't happen in all spaces. And I ask us that we have to provide actions in what we say, not. It's really great to pass resolutions. It's harder to have actions. I remember when Trustee Pizzatti and I have created board policy to have inclusive LGBTQIA bathrooms and whatnot, but this is still pervasive. That was like 6-7 years ago. And my daughter just finally started, she didn't want to come back to school. She didn't want to come back to this district because things that she was experiencing with her peers and with the children of some of the people possibly in this room. We need to do better. We need to be better. Now we know better. I ask all of us here on the board and the district to consider that as we think about community schools, public safety, because sometimes it's not us who can do this work. Sometimes it requires people with different lived experiences to come in who are absolutely safe for our kids. So thank you, Vice President. Thank you, President Kirby Gonzalez, for saying, yes, I've been up on East Coast time since 4 a.m. to get here, so East Coast time, 4 a.m. But I just thank you for quickly saying yes. When I asked, I just, sorry.
Thank you. Trustee Pizzatti.
Thank you. And this is why I love West Sacramento. I mean, absolutely love it, because this is the most supporting and loving and caring community that anyone could want here to show up and provide facts and statistics and support to us who make decisions like this, who make policy, who gives us the freedom to be strong and effective leaders on this. What I often, forget about is because we live in this bubble, we don't often see the 500 plus bills being introduced elsewhere, right, that are attacking the LGBTQIA plus community. And it's heartbreaking to think about. Evan, thank you so much for your comments and for, correcting us on the number of bills that have been out there. I'm really so proud of who we are here. And I am so proud that all of our parents, by and large, that came to speak are willing to stand up and show their respect and really just kind of give us the ability to be who we are and show what we believe as a board. So thank you. And
thank you. Trustee Venegas.
Yes, thank you to everybody who came and spoke. As a board member, as a coach who works with thousands of students across California, as an uncle who's learned and learning how to navigate with family. I've got to say that it's beautiful as adults to see each other give each other grace and give us that time, because we can say it, we can agree with the words, but it's a practice, not a solution, right? It's really looking to see how we're moving in this direction and showing up and speaking up and giving each other that space and time to learn, to adapt. As you were just saying, we're still constantly learning, and that's ultimately what leading is, right? We can all sit here and do the things we've always done, or we can choose to lead into this unknown, into the uncomfortability. But I think it's that piece as adults. It's our duty to be uncomfortable and to continue to lead, to inspire our youth to be their true selves. So, as an uncle, as a family member, as a coach, as a board member, I thank you all for showing up, and thank you to the board, and thank you to this community who has welcomed me to be a part of, and it's great being part of West Sacramento. Thank you.
Thank you, and Clerk Coffey.
Yeah, sorry. kind of getting over a cold, so please excuse me as I'm talking. Just wanted to say it's amazing to see the community come together. For the longest time, I had a lot of family members that were very quiet with how they came out or lack of coming out. You talk to one cousin. Okay, so first off, gotta let you know, my family's huge, all right? My mom is one of 16, my dad is one of 12. I got 54 first cousins on one side, I have a whole lot more. So I have a huge community just within my family alone. So when a cousin would come and they're saying what's going on with them, and you're like, oh, do I tell Tia? Do I tell Mom? Like, they came to me, okay, no, I'm just the one. And you carry that with you and you be that support for them because they can't tell anybody else. And you realize that you're taking on this burden with them, even though it's not you. And so it's so very important that we, as a community, support each other, even if it's not us who is going through that transition, that change, or these feelings that are going on. Just being that support. You don't have to say anything. Just know that them knowing that they have somebody, they're not alone, is definitely key. So I'm really thankful that we're doing this.
We spent the last few days with school board members from all over the state in DC advocating for many issues in public education. But in those moments, you realize that even here in California, there are a lot of places that do not feel safe. And you turn on some board meetings, watch one recently in my hometown, and they make me sad. And so I want to thank you for it's just such an honor to live here. It's an honor to serve here. I'm so proud to raise my children here, and there's work to be done. So, but we acknowledge that there's work to be done, and we're here to do that work, and having a community that comes out just strong on the issues that matter to support our kids, our families, our staff. Thank you for that. You make this a really beautiful place, and for giving up that bedtime. I know how precious that is, and coming over across the river as well. It's just beautiful to have voices from our region. We are united in this work, and so we are committed, and we are here, and please hold us accountable. Hold us accountable to what this resolution says and what we say that we will do and support. And just like you said, you have our backs to make passing a resolution like this, of course, a no-brainer here. We have yours too. So with that, can I get a motion to approve this resolution?
Before you have
yes.
the approval, I have one request.
Yes.
In the resolution that was published, there was a line towards the end that states, "Be it further resolved, the superintendent shall report on compliance with this resolution to the board at the next meeting." So I would ask if we could change that to within 6 months to make sure that we have time to share this information with our employees, let families know about it, because one of the areas of the resolution states that the district affirms that employees are encouraged to discuss this resolution during class time, and students are to be made aware that district supports are available. And so just getting information out we want to make sure we're able to do that well. So I know I won't be able to do that in 2 weeks. So just asking if we could make that change.
Okay, can I get a motion with the amendment that this will come back to us with an update in 6 months?
A second.
Okay, so the motion was moved by Vice President Wong and seconded by Clerk Coffey. This is a resolution, so we need to do a roll call vote. So Vice President Wong. Aye. Clerk Coffey.
Present. Aye. Sorry.
Trustee Venegas.
Aye.
And Trustee Pizzotti.
Aye.
And I too vote aye. This resolution passes. Thank you. All right. That takes us now, thank you all again for being here, and that is going to take us to our business of a public hearing. And this is M1, the River City High School Physical Education 4x4 block requirement renewal. And what?
So exciting.
A public hearing.
We should have some of those this evening.
Dr. Ann Zeman, who is our interim assistant superintendent of education services, and Matt Ainsworth.
Good evening, President Kirby Gonzalez, respected trustees, Superintendent Hildreth. It's actually Director Ainsworth who's done the work on this, so he will speak to our request.
Thank you, Dr. Damon. Good evening, Board. River City High School began implementing the 4x4 block schedule during the transition to the new high school facility in the middle of the 2008-2009 school year. Implementing the block schedule allows students to have more options in their class schedule, allows for more time for professional learning for staff, and creates a larger block of time for instruction. In addition, limiting the number of transitions from class to class during the school day improves students' academic and social success. Per Education Code 5122A, pupils must attend physical education for 400 minutes every 10 school days. To comply with the statute, River City must submit a waiver to the California State Board of Education requesting that students complete their required physical education minutes every 10 days within one term rather than throughout the whole year. Due to the 90-minute block schedule, River City students not only meet the required yearly minutes but exceed them, thereby meeting the Education Code. Part of the waiver application process is to hold a public hearing, which we are holding tonight.
And I think I need to officially open the public hearing, and we have no public comments, to my understanding. I will close the public hearing. Any board comments? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, this is taking us to one that can get some cheers, I think, again. We are on information discussion items, and this is N1, our Newcomer Center update. And this is with Stacy Tran, our Director of English Learners and Support Programs.
Evening. Okay. In keeping with the theme of inclusion and equity, I'm delighted to be here with you today to share about some successes and the progress of our Newcomer Center. So good evening, President Kirby Gonzalez, Vice President Wong, Dr. Hildreth, staff, and community. Welcome back. On the next slide, our Newcomer Center is clearly aligned to our district strategic plan. It is wholly aligned to our LCAP goal number 1, about college and career readiness for all students. And the purpose of our Newcomer Center is to really remove those systemic barriers to student success based on social, cultural, ethnic, and linguistic identities. We're opening doors that never would have been opened before for these students. And in terms of our strategic priorities and key actions, we are providing equity-focused instruction, which is student-centered, trauma-informed, and it's connected to student identity. That was the next slide. Thank you. And the next slide, moving right along, we have had, as you know, an influx of newcomer students in West Sacramento, specifically over the last 3 academic years. In the 2020-2021 school year, we had 68 students come to us from other countries. The following year, we had 100. And this year, so far, we've had 124. The lighter shade of pink is I've actually had to revise this 3 times since I first created it 2 weeks ago because we keep getting more newcomers, and I wanted to give you the most up-to-date data. So if we got a new one today, I missed it, but we're up to 124 students from other countries who have come to Washington Unified to live and learn. I also wanted to share with you how many the pattern of newcomer growth in our district, and then what countries our newcomer students are coming from. As you can see, we have the largest growing group from Afghanistan, and you can tell that in the 21-22 school year, we had a huge number, and that was because of the mass exit from Afghanistan. Many of our families were able to make it here safely, and now they're part of our learning community. Our students from Mexico and Central and South America have a steady growth pattern, just like the pattern of the newcomers. And then we've had a lot of students recently from Russia and Ukraine.
a very small population just 3 years ago, but as you can see, it's grown. And this year, that population spiked due to the civil unrest in Ukraine. Also, our other group has grown interestingly this year. So not only are we getting more newcomers than ever before, we're getting more students from other countries. So I'm pleased to say that our incredible team of homeschool liaisons who's here supporting me has grown as well to reflect the diversity in our community. And our teaching staff has been incredible in welcoming these students and meeting their needs as well. On the next slide is a pie chart of newcomers by school site. As you can see, they are at every single school in the district except for WUVA and Washington Middle College High School, which makes sense because those two schools are targeted towards students with different learning modalities and different learners. So they're everywhere in the district, but primarily at Riverbank School. Nearly 20% of our newcomer students reside in the Riverbank attendance boundary, and so it made perfect sense to start our newcomer center there. On the next slide, we have the characteristics of our newcomer students. And just reflecting back, it was just over a year ago where I stood here for the first time and proposed the Newcomer Center. So to think back at how much we've accomplished over just one short year is incredible. And I'm very proud, and you should be very proud as well because everyone in this room has supported us every step of the way. Every child has a unique story, but most of our newcomers here in Washington Unified have had some type of interrupted schooling, whether they were uneducated in their home country or whether they had gaps in schooling because of their immigration story. We also have many students whose home countries have very low levels of adult literacy. So students don't have the advantage of being literate in their primary language because we know that when a student is literate in their primary language, it's easy to transfer to a second language. But with no primary schooling or little primary language literacy, it makes that a lot more challenging. Also, they have a lot of unmet basic needs. There's a lot of food insecurity among our newcomer families. So we've done great things partnering with community organizations. Again, the liaisons and the outreach specialist team has been instrumental in helping provide resources for our families and connect them to the community resources. A lot of our families lack transportation just to get around town. Angelina Valencia and the transportation team, I have to give them a shout out. They've been amazing because we've had a couple special cases of students who we just needed to get to Riverbank to the Newcomer Center one way or another. So we've been really flexible and creative and worked it out for 4 of our students to get on actually special education buses, one with a sibling, others at a school it happened to be passing by, to get them there because that's what's best for kids. And so I'm really proud and grateful for that support. Also, third, a lot of our newcomer students experience great deals of trauma. Many come from war and have seen it firsthand. They've seen relatives pass away from tragedies that have happened in their countries. They've seen things more terrible than we will ever see in our life and our sheltered experience here. So as you can see, there's a need for academic support, a need for community support, and a need for social emotional support. On the next slide, these are some of our successes, and I will not read them all to you, but I could have done 20 slides on just the successes. Every single child who has come through the doors of the Newcomer Center has grown, not just academically, but also in their confidence, in their social emotional skills, in their desire to just go out to recess and play and interact with other kids, in the joy that you see on their faces if you've been able to visit. I want to highlight some successes. Most students on average between 1st and 8th grade have grown 1 to 1.5 years in their reading abilities. We had one student in the upper grade class make 2.5 years growth in her reading score. She came in at a kindergarten level, not knowing letter names and sounds, and now she's reading at a 2nd grade level, middle of 2nd grade. So that is phenomenal. In math, all of our kids are growing in their number sense, their place value, and I really wanted to highlight here the differentiation that takes place. Our teachers do an incredible job, and one thing I love is the classes are actually adjoined, so the kids have the flexibility to go back and forth. So if you are a 4th grader who's rocking it in math, you can go to the upper grade class for math groups. On the same token, if you have a 7th grader who's struggling because they just got here, they can go to the lower grade class and get some additional support at their level. And I also want to mention our amazing paraeducators. We have 2 multilingual paraeducators that are with these 2 teachers full-time, supporting students, not just providing interpretation, but they're running small groups. They're meeting with teachers during prep time, planning for and delivering instruction. It's incredible. Third, I wanted to highlight the social emotional successes that we've seen. In a survey of students, 95% of them are happy to come to school. And we're doing amazing things in the Newcomer Center to support their social emotional learning. Teachers do yoga, they practice social skills, they do arts integration. We've had Victor Services come in and work with the students, and we have a partnership with the West Sacramento Rotary Club. Now, to highlight some of the successes, I wanted to bring you different perspectives. Again, we couldn't get students here tonight, and unfortunately, we couldn't get parents tonight, but I was able to bring one of our incredible teachers. The teachers are amazing, and I think they are the ones who truly make the magic happen. We set the stage, but they're there every day doing the work, and I'm so grateful and so proud of the work that they've done. Ms. Carolee Churchill teaches the upper grade class, and she couldn't be here tonight, but she says that her students have become confident, empowered, and they have developed a true joy for learning. And if that's not our goal in the Newcomer Center, I don't know what is. So with that, I'm happy. But here to add to that, we have Ms. Tiffany Keller, the teacher of the 1st through 4th grade class, to share a little bit from her.
Good evening, Dr. Hildreth and members of the board. My name is Tiffany Keller, and I am the 1st through 4th grade teacher at the Newcomer Center at Riverbank Elementary. I started my teaching career here 24 years ago as a kindergarten teacher at Elkhorn Elementary. I was so excited and happy on that first day with my kindergartners, none of which who cried, by the way. This year felt like that first day all over again. My students come from such traumatic and violent places in the world, but you would never know that meeting. They show up every day with smiles on their faces and a thirst for knowledge. They are, in a word, amazing. Of course, there have been challenges and bumps in the road, as with any new endeavor, but the experience has taught me as much as it's taught them. We are a classroom of brothers and sisters, cousins, and friends. We are truly a little family. I know there will be tears on the last day of school, but thank you so much for supporting this much-needed program for our students and their.
And then to bring the student voice, we had Sulfikar, one of Tiffany's students. When asked what he liked best about the Newcomer Center, he said that what he likes best is his teacher and learning his multiplication songs. So what a testament to the fact that these kids are getting the American experience while still being taken care of and nurtured, and their needs are being met. We also talked to some of our parents, and they highlighted how students feel more brave and happy to go to school. They're learning, they're comfortable. A parent of an 8th grade student who was a little bit resistant about the Newcomer Center because he was an 8th grade boy and he wasn't sure if he wanted to be in this different class. Mom noticed that when they got to the country, he knew no English. He wasn't speaking English at all. But now that's all he speaks among him and his siblings is English. So she has to tell them to translate for her because there's so much English going on in the home. So she was really proud. And I think that that just underscores the fact that making these students feel seen, heard, like they have a place where they belong and where we are championing them and we're here for them, it makes all the difference. Finally, I wanted to end with a quote that really stood out to me. It says, an asset-based approach to teaching English learners is about creating a culture where we acknowledge strengths and expect success. It is a shared vision everyone in a district must adopt before we can hope to set relevant learning goals or implement worthwhile instructional strategies for ELs. So more importantly than the strategies that are taking place is just the support here in this room. And again, we are so grateful. We could not have done this without you. We're thrilled to celebrate the successes. We'll continue to follow and track these students into the future to see if they're achieving success academically and social emotionally at higher rates than students who opted out of the Newcomer Center or weren't able to participate this year. But ultimately, we're so grateful for your belief in the program, for the amazing teachers and their risk. They both left positions that they loved to take a chance and support this program. I think they're happy with their decision. And I really honestly think that WSD is a better place because of the Newcomer Center. And of course, I cannot leave you without some adorable pictures. So our teachers, our upper grade class, and our lower grade class.
It's incredible, and I invite you again if you want to stop by. If whether or not you've already visited, call me and we will set something. Thank you so much. Are there any questions?
Yes, thank you. Do we have any public comments? Okay, we have no public comments. Are there any board comments or questions?
I love you. I feel like every single time you come before us, you can't, like, you've like maxed out, and then you bring another thing, and then another thing, and another thing, and we are better because of you and your work, and thank you for those. I think they're happy. I think they nodded when you said that you were happy when you left your other positions.
Oh, yeah.
You all know my story. I always say, like, as a refugee kid, this means so. As a multilingual, why do I have the waterworks on today? It's when you don't sleep all day long. It is all the things. It's so personal. And the personal is the powerful for me. And I see little Jackies, little Foos, little Ginas, I see my family, I see my community. Every time you come here, ever since I've been on this board. And I thank you. I thank you for growing the program. I thank you for being part of our communities and seeing them as well. So just thank you. And I'm just so excited about where this is going to go in your summer program. So I will turn off the waterworks and move forward just because you all are amazing. And it's not just a feeling. I appreciate that you bring the data. Right? The proof is in the pudding, if you will. You know what I mean? And so really appreciate your pouring into the kids in such a loving way.
Okay, Trustee Passati.
Yeah, I would just like to say thank you for bringing some of the statistics about where the kids are from. That's helpful to see this picture of what the Newcomer Center is like. But also, thanks for bringing a teacher, because, I mean, it's nice to hear a report from you, of course. It's always nice. You're wonderful at this. But it's nice to hear from a teacher who has really absolutely shown the love for the kids, and then sharing the comments the kids said. So that's something that I find incredibly beneficial from when I wake up in the morning, my kids saying, "Dad, are you making me go to school again?" Right? Like, these kids love going to school. They love the opportunity to go to school. And that's special. That's very special, and sometimes we forget just how lucky we are in having the ability to go to school. So I just love hearing those stories about the kids being so excited and so thrilled, and doing very well. So thank you so much.
Okay, and thank you. And Trustee Venegas.
Muchas gracias. Thank you so much for this. It's really great to see, again, the teacher, the one leading and pouring into lives. And it just really makes me be grateful, but also think about many of our students that are in that junior, senior level at our high school that didn't get to experience the Newcomer Center, right? How they can somehow use their experience to help the teachers and just really make that connection of this is home, and again, just what a beautiful day to just talk about inclusiveness and accepting each other and really growing together with the people that are in front of us now, right? Not waiting for an idea. So thank you for the idea, however that came about. I know that I'll be talking to other districts to come and see the model and really, again, pick up on many of the things that our incredible staff are leading. So muchas gracias. Thank you.
I wanted to share that when we were speaking this week on Capitol Hill, that Dr. Hildreth shared with congressmen and women about your program and about what you are doing, and because it is powerful. And when we think about our entire country and we think about what is happening here in West Sacramento, we have some of the most diverse student needs that there are. And the way that you're meeting those needs and addressing it is really, really powerful. And so Congresswoman Matsui's office was very interested in coming and doing a tour in the fall. And I think that that would be a really powerful thing for her office to see as well, what's happening. I got to visit for a short visit, and it was really wonderful. I went into Ms. Churchill's office or classroom, and I walked around and got to talk with some of her students who are doing some of the new programming that we've adopted, and it was really great to see that in action, and then also to see you, Ms. Keller, teach. So I imagine that teaching, as somebody who this year is teaching 2 grade levels and finds it challenging, I imagine that is challenge. Can you speak to that? If it's challenging right now, speaking those or teaching those multiple grades, and what the need will be moving forward into next year?
Yeah, it's challenging because it's 4 grade levels and it's multiple languages. And the best thing about our class is that I literally have brothers and sisters and cousins, and that's also the crazy making part of our class, because I'm like, no, you can't hit your little brother.
Yeah.
You're not at home.
Yeah.
Sure, he deserves it, but no. But what I feel like, as with all my experience working in our community, focusing with the UC Davis Math Project, and then kind of moving on to working with EL, is that good teaching is different. Even when I taught 3rd grade, there was definitely a 4-year span between some of the kids, what they could do. And so I feel like the power of the small group, we do a lot of stuff full class. So I have 1st graders that know multiplication because they learn the multiplication songs along with Zolfikar. And I have a 4th grade boy who is really struggling, and he's in the red group for reading, or in the smaller group for math. And so having the ability with our classroom aide, Miss 5, for which I could not do the job without. She is truly, yes. But being able to do that small group instruction and then come back to a whole group and then differentiate, say, you're going to do a sentence patterning, but you friends are going to work on a paragraph, and you're just going to tell me what your sentence is. That magically it works. I am more tired now than I've ever been in my whole teaching career. It's past bedtime. But it's totally worth it. Like, they are the most exuberant, life-affirming, loud, darling, amazing. And I'm hoping to have them all in summer school because I want another month with them. And yeah.
And in terms of next step for the program, we are looking into expanding the program and adding a 3rd class and a 3rd paraeducator, not only to be able to serve 24 or 25 more students, but also to make the grade spans a little bit less, because just imagine the maturity level between a 1st grader and a 4th grader, or a 5th grader and an 8th grader. So again, the teachers are amazing, incredible, highly talented, collaborative. I cannot say enough good things. But they've had their work cut out for them this year. So to be able to serve more kids and also be able to help them target and focus their instruction even more would be phenomenal. Additionally, you mentioned support to the high school students. I am in talks with Principal Billingsley about how we can boost our ELD at the high school and provide more newcomer support. River City, for the first time ever, is providing a newcomer summer school class. So I'm thrilled about that. We've been doing that for a couple years. And so I'm excited that River City is on board. And we're also talking about how to group students strategically, not isolate them, but group them strategically so that they can get support in other curricular areas, not just ELA. So maybe we have a math support class for newcomers because, as you saw in the data, a lot of our students are coming with very little schooling, much less 9th grade math readiness skills. So we feel like by taking a little bit of time and going slow, it will accelerate their learning and they'll be able to catch up that.
And that does bring the added responsibility, of course, for all of our students deserve to have the best education we can give, but there's an added responsibility when our students are coming from countries where the girls cannot get an education right now. And for the betterment of all, our children from Afghanistan in the country to educate these girls. So hopefully one day there can be changes as well there. So thank you. We're so grateful for the teachers and for, of course, the paraeducators you spoke as well. Thank you very much. Okay, and that takes us to information item number 2, iReady Diagnostic and Personalized Instruction Data Update, and that is with Director of Curriculum Instruction and Professional Development, Matt Ainsworth. And team.
Good evening, President Kirby Gonzalez, Vice President Wong, trustees, Superintendent Hildreth, and Cabinet. Thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. Washington Unified has partnered with Curriculum Associates to use iReady as our universal screener and diagnostic tool for both reading and math for the past 3 years. 3rd through 8th grade students have taken the diagnostic during 3 diagnostic windows in order to measure student growth. And the data for the diagnostic has provided teachers and administrators with useful information to form intervention groups and guide staff to specific standards that need additional support. In addition to the iReady diagnostic, WSD has used the personalized instruction tool to provide targeted intervention at each student's level. Personalized instruction provides teachers with precise data on students' understanding of standards-based content at their individual level. In our presentation tonight, we will share information on growth data for this school year, celebrate the successes of personalized instruction, and share our next steps for the diagnostic and personalized instruction tool. Joining me tonight, Stacy brought 1 teacher, I brought 3. I'll take that. Our Tina Rosales, 3rd grade teacher from Stonegate, Tierney Hins, 4th grade from Southport, and Amanda Angel, 6th grade English from Stonegate. We will also hear comments from Miss Adie Romo, 5th grade dual immersion teacher from Elkhorn. She was unable to make it tonight, but she wanted to share her successes that her students have had with iReady as well. As always, we start with highlighting the alignment to the strategic plan. Information we will share tonight aligns with goals 2 and 3, the whole child feeling healthy, safe, and challenged and supported, and the opportunity and achievement of every student, as well as Pillar A and equity principle number 2, which ensures that all students are provided access and opportunity to resources relevant to their individual success. Okay, a lot of trying. We're looking at our 3 diagnostic results for math. Again, the green tier are students who are at or above grade level. Yellow is students who are 1 grade level below, and red are 2 or more grade levels below. In the top left, you see our diagnostic 1, which we took back in August and September. Top right is diagnostic 2, which was just before winter break. And diagnostic 3, we finished up in March. You can see the growth we've seen here throughout the year in our math results, from 13% of our students in August to 28%. That's 15% growth. Really celebrating, again, the reduction in red, a 17% drop in students who are 2 or more grade levels below. And you're going to see a lot of percents tonight, but to put that into perspective, that's 723 fewer students who are 2 or more grade levels below in math. If we go to the next slide, we look at our reading results. Again, we see 17% growth from diagnostic 1 to diagnostic 3. That is an increase of 638 more students who are at or above grade level in reading. We're so proud of the growth our students have shown from the first to the most recent diagnostic, and the wonderful work that our teachers have done to utilize this data throughout the school year to provide targeted intervention and enrichment opportunities to their students. We zoomed in a little bit and looked at grade level growth. The left column is the percent of students who are at grade level in diagnostic number 1. On the right column is the percent of students who are at or above grade level on diagnostic number 3. And this is for math. You can see tremendous growth, especially at the elementary level. Good growth in middle school, just not as much as we saw at the elementary level. And if we look at the next slide is our results for reading. Again, some consistent growth across the board from diagnostic number 1 to diagnostic number 3. We also looked at diagnostic results and disaggregated the data by subgroup. We've seen consistent growth across the board in all subgroups, including our English learners, students with an IEP, homeless and foster youth, and socioeconomically disadvantaged students. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Tina Rosales, third grade teacher from Stonegate. She's going to share her experiences using iReady and how she supports students' goal setting and growth leading up to her diagnostic. Tina.
Superintendent and President and Cabinet. My name is Tina Rosales, and I teach third grade at Stonegate. My students had to do distance learning for their first grade year. And however, even with that challenge, I am still here today to share with you my students' success with iReady in both ELA and math. I am thrilled with my students' movement towards meeting and exceeding standards in ELA and math this year, primarily because of the iReady program. Success is usually a three-pronged effort, including parent support, teacher influence, and student effort. This year, it is a four-pronged effort because of the iReady platform. First, thanks to iReady, student data is immediately accessible and visual. It shows the student's level in regards to the grade level standard. Besides offering diagnostic assessments in ELA and math, iReady also offers leveled personal instruction to the student. After the first diagnostic placement, the teacher assigns personalized instruction so that the students may gradually work towards their goals. Then when the students are ready to test again, iReady offers an estimated growth expectation that students will make if they do their daily personalized instruction exercises. iReady also shows a stretch goal that some students will be able to achieve with outstanding effort. And I grab my kitty cat laser. I don't know if this will work. But we have our typical growth goal. And you'll notice my one student here who was in the red I was able to get her to move up into the green. And I'm going to talk about that. So we have our typical growth goal, and then we have our stretch goal. Since I was able to show the student his or her growth immediately after they finished, the student and I could discuss the course of action. This program also allows the teacher to reset the test if the student chooses to redo it because his or her scores went down or he or she did not meet the minimal growth projected. So that would be this. Again, I was able to send students progress to show parents after the second diagnostic was done. The third diagnostic showed the most student effort. I only tested 20 minutes in the morning each day, and many students took the full 2 weeks to complete their test. The diagnostic growth percentage, that's this. This was phenomenal. This 176% growth. In ELA, no one scored in the red, this third diagnostic. No one scored 2 or more grade levels below, and only one person scored in the yellow. That was 1 grade level below. And I don't have my math slide up there, but I was so proud of my math scores because, again, there were no students in the red. And most of the students, majority of the students were exceeding grade level standard. And there was a few at grade level. So again, the third report was sent home to parents, and it showed the amazing growth regardless of whether or not the student was at third grade level or not. So my one student here, she made 96 points of growth. She was not quite at third grade level in the school year, but she had met. She was at third grade, but not quite where we were in class. Again, in all my 25 years of teaching, I have never been so thrilled with my students' progress in both ELA and math. Parents help motivate. I set the goals with the students. Students put forth the effort, but the iReady platform for both diagnostic testing and personalized instruction made it happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Here are some comments from Adi Romo, 5th grade dual immersion teacher at Elkhorn. She shared that iReady allowed her students to understand, for her to understand her students' individual performance and gave her a clear picture of the background knowledge and the learning gaps in her class. She utilized data throughout the year and developed plans to create targeted intervention. In Ms. Romo's class, she saw 165% progress in reading and 89% growth in math. Without iReady, she feels she would have been limited in her ability to assess overall math and reading grade level standards. I appreciate Adi for sharing her thoughts, even though she wasn't able to join us tonight. So I wanted to celebrate her successes with her students as well. Some more celebrations. We zoomed in a little further to find some grade level celebrations at each school site. Again, here are some celebrations in math, just some tremendous growth from diagnostic number 1 to diagnostic number 3. I'll do a shout out to Southport 4th grade. 41% growth of students at or above grade level. Good job, Ducks. We can go to the next one, look at reading. This is always a duck. This is our celebrations for reading. A shout out to the WUVA 8th grade students. 42% growth from diagnostic number 1 to diagnostic number 3. So again, just really proud of the successes. These are just some of the many, many successes at each site, at each grade level. Next up, I'd like to introduce Tierney Hins, 4th grade from Southport, to share her experiences with the iReady diagnostic.
Hi. Okay. iReady has provided unparalleled, actionable data to my colleagues, students, and myself over the last 3 years. At the beginning of this school year, my students' scores on the diagnostic test ranged from kindergarten to 7th grade in both reading and math. I teach 4th grade. My students didn't only need differentiation, they needed extensive and ambitious individualized intervention and enrichment 4 grade levels below and 3 grade levels above what my curriculum provides. Data that iReady gives, not only on the diagnostic, but personalized instruction, interactive practice, comprehension checks, and even the games, has significantly changed my classroom culture and student efficacy. Following each diagnostic, my grade level team is immediately given valuable instructional groupings based on our students' abilities that we utilize for teaming and regrouping. Additionally, because of iReady, we are stacked with an abundance of tools for instruction, broken down by each of the domains for next steps to better support our students who are performing, as I mentioned before, all across the board. Furthermore, the standard Mastery iReady assessments have delivered the entire 4th grade team common, reportable, standard-aligned, end-of-unit assessments that inform our teaching and learning and allows us to seamlessly connect instructional resources that support the needs of all our students. What iReady gives is aspirational, attainable goals for every student to achieve grade level standards and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Charity. We got some student comments for how they feel about a diagnostic. And so we told them to be honest and share their thoughts about how they felt about these tests they get to take throughout the year. One, I want to celebrate one of the 5th grade comments, because iReady is more than just the diagnostic. Personalized instruction, it's the little mini standards mastery assessments, and it comes with a plethora of math games. So one student said, I'm obsessed with the games. They are super duper fun. I will take a student saying that math is super duper fun. So that's a win in my book. So thank you to the teachers who helped gather these comments for us. Turning to look at our personalized instruction, and most of the time when we're up here presenting, we're talking about the diagnostic, and we don't really talk about the personalized instruction tool. The diagnostic we use 3 times throughout the year. Personalized instruction we use every single day. Personalized instruction is the core of the program. What personalized instruction provides is teachers the opportunity to create a path of engaging online lessons for their students. They receive instruction and practice in the areas that they need the most support, very personalized to what they need. It's data-driven, and teachers get intuitive reports with actionable data to track their students' progress. The lessons make learning active, engaging, and culturally relevant, provide students the opportunity to make real-world connections with their learning. We love that students are able to track their own progress on their dashboard so they can own their own personalized learning and their growth. Next slide. Looking at our personalized instruction data, it's not as colorful, and so we get some usage reports and how often are students completing lessons. This is a report from January until about a week ago. What % of students at each grade level, this is district-wide, are completing lessons, and then their average percent of lessons that they are passing. And I really want to do a shout out to the first and second grades teachers throughout the district and their students. The diagnostic has and will remain optional for kindergarten through second grade. And the first and second grade teachers are finding great value in the personalized instruction tool. We've made it optional, and we had approximately 80% of our first grade students take the diagnostic in March, and 90% of our second graders. So while it remains optional, the teachers are finding great value. And so if we look at the next slide, we could see our results in reading. And you can see that there is some drops when we get to middle school. We know that it is a challenge to find classroom time for students to be able to use the personalized instruction tool. And joining me tonight is Amanda Angel, 6th grade English teacher at Stonegate, to share some more about personalized instruction in her classroom.
Two side comments. Lions eat ducks. I also just want to say I found it funny that I have a first grader in a different district, so I'm navigating being a parent of a student for the first time as well. And he actually told me today that because he passed his math lesson, he got to do iReady instead of group. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Do you like it? And he does. He's very good at math. He does not get that from me. And he likes the iReady because he can go beyond what the class is doing, and what the class is doing for him is boring. So that was just kind of serendipitous to tonight's board meeting. So hello, board. Thank you for hearing my comments on iReady personalized instruction. I apologize about my voice. I don't know what's going on. Hashtag teacher life. I can only speak for my own middle school experience. However, I can say that personalized instruction, that my path we were talking about, 100% meets the needs of what would otherwise go unaddressed in the intermediate level. In the middle school level, in our limited time frames, with our numbers of students and the challenges of the current standards, I am unable to teach foundational skills for decoding and reading that are developed in the first through third grades. Are you going to adjust my microphone? And that are essential for the continued success in all content areas. Since the collapse of the Read 180 intervention program several years ago, students who still need support developing those skills are largely underserved in the middle school. With personalized instruction, students who are struggling with current grade level concepts due to the gaps they have in those early reading skills are receiving daily, consistent instruction at their level. These students are also able to feel successes even if they are unable to meet current grade level standards. While the personalized instruction, the MyPath program, best supports those students who are 2 or more levels below, it also provides opportunities to push students who are at or above grade level, as it does expose those students to new and more complex standards up to the 8th grade is where our iReady caps. So I have had a handful of students actually test out of the iReady because they're beyond that 8th grade level. Again, giving them that consistent exposure to standards that are at their need, whether below, at, or above. While the overall outcome for me is a positive one, I'm also super pragmatic. So I want to address the trade-offs that did come with the successes. In order to have students buy into the program and to complete the lessons, for middle school, 100% it had to be done in the classroom. They would not have done it, nor would they have taken it seriously outside of that classroom setting. That meant considerable amount of lost in classroom instruction, but you have to remember the trade-off is that kids who are below grade level are getting that intervention that they need. The majority of students only completed lessons with genuine effort because they were incentivized in the way of a grade in my class. Many students had to miss weeks of points before they were ready to commit to the lesson. And only because it was negatively affecting their grade, which I know is not ideal, but when those students who were, when those students did buy in, they were also the students who showed some of the biggest growth and started to participate in grade level standards in class because their confidence had risen. While I want to be honest about the challenges that personalized instruction posed in the classroom, I am here speaking on its behalf because I believe that the benefits were worth the effort it took to implement successfully. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. The other. There we go. So we'll finish up with our next steps. So this is, we're wrapping up year 3 with iReady. And we've learned a lot from input from our administrators and teachers, from families. One of the biggest changes we're going to make going forward is change our diagnostic schedule. This year we're doing 3 mandatory with an optional 4th in May. We're going to change that to 2 mandatory, 1 in August and September, and then 1 January, February, and that will give us the opportunity to have some initial data as well as growth data, and then provide the teachers the opportunity or the option to give a late May diagnostic to wrap up the year. So we thank you for allowing us to share our journey with iReady and for the board's support with the iReady program. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any public comments? Okay, do we have any board comments or questions?
Hi. So I have to say, iReady, my kids at home are, I have 1 in 4th, I have 1 in 6th, and then I have 1 in high school. And the one in high school says, oh yeah, I remember iReady, I did it, and I got this level. My 6th grader is like, oh yeah, I'm already at that. And then my 4th grader is like, well, I'm close to that. So what does that mean? And then my oldest one is like, well, they just must have reshaped all of it because it doesn't make sense how you're already there and you're already there. So it's like competitiveness so much in the house. And I don't even know what these kids are doing. And so then I'm like, can you show me what it is? And then they show me, and the teacher was like, but you can't do it. If you're gonna watch them, you can't help them. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching, and I'm like, so if you don't pass it, what happens? Gotta do it again. And I'm like, oh, I like this. So, and I like that it keeps the younger one to try to beat the older one. So, to be smarter. So I'm like, yeah, go for it, kid. So I'm okay. I'm all for it. So just want to let you know it's good. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other comments? I have a few. Thank you for coming and being here and for all you do in the classroom, because it's really important to hear how things are working for your students, and I just really appreciate that, and I want to thank you. I know it was also late and that you waited for a long time, so I want to acknowledge that and thank you. I really appreciate that you're changing the testing window schedule. I think that is going to be, I imagine it's probably from feedback, and I think I appreciate that you heard that feedback and listened to it, and that there are adjustments made for our students. And I think I want to share 2 perspectives. I'll just share one piece, just so we're aware of that. I think there's so many good things. I really appreciate you shared the trade-offs too, and I think that Washington Unified has done a really good job of balancing that. For example, you said you did testing 20 minutes a day for your students versus, this can be done not well for kids if it's just all day sitting, and you've just really taken into account and done a good job with it. So I think Washington Unified's done a really good job with this rollout, and I appreciate it. When one of my children came home after an iReady at the beginning of the year, and she has an incredible teacher. My daughter loves her teachers. Oh my gosh. So this is not at all a comment about that, because she didn't even want to have spring break because she said, I'm not going to see my teachers. And then she stops and says hi to, like on her way to the bike, hi to all of her prior teachers too on the way. So, but she came home after the first diagnostic window. Her teacher did a wonderful job talking her through it, I have no doubt. And she was hyperventilating, crying to me. She said, Mommy, I'm not smart. I don't know what I'm doing. Look I'm so low on this sheet, this ranking that she was given, where she was, she was very low. And the first time they take it, as we know, I've been teaching for many years, I taught with it for a decade, that often it was low at the beginning, especially if they weren't used to that assessment. And so being a teacher, I pulled out every single phonics assessment screener, and I did like 6 assessments with her, and she scored well on all of them. And so I thought, where it's telling you that you're struggling isn't accurate in this case. And sometimes that happens. I had students where it said, you don't know these phonics pieces or that. And so it's just important that we dig in, because sometimes a computer cannot accurately give an account of that if there's 3 or 4 questions versus sitting down and doing a deep dive with your kids. So, and then of course she grew like 70 points or something, because we already knew that she wasn't where she was at the beginning. So I just share that as I know everyone in this room is being very thoughtful about it, but sometimes we don't see our children who want to be studious, good kids at school, and they're not going to cry at school, but they're going to come home just crushed when they have those conferences sometimes. So it's important to be aware of that. And then when we think about the personalized weekly lessons, I just want to also throw a piece out there for consideration. If students are already in the green and they're really successful, that to really, especially in reading, to cultivate great readers, that we can maybe take them off that computer. They've demonstrated that they know what they're doing, and get them in those novels and those books. Because I found that sometimes it can be incredibly demotivating for our very high readers that are so challenging. So just a plug for that. And then I did have some reading intervention teachers talk to me about the need for phonics instruction, which is an area that we're a little weaker in this district. We don't have a phonics instruction program. So I want us to think about that as a way to really help kids grow in this. Even if they're not doing the iReady personalized lesson, if they're getting that, you're going to see this growth too. So just to think about that in terms of those conversations. I know that was a lot, and I appreciate you for letting me share that, and I appreciate you for being here and for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Okay. And that takes us into the update on pupil attitudes to self and school, the PASS, says social emotional learning SEL screener, and that is Dr. Jay Burns, Director of Special Programs and Student Services, and also Dr. Zeman, our Interim Assistant Superintendent of Ed Services. And I feel like it's really hot in this room. Do we have like a... I'm just going to take off my jacket real quick. Oh, man. Okay.
It was just me, and I was like, man, am I
All right.
Norman here, thank you. And Dr. Burns will be presenting. He's the one that prepared the presentation.
Perfect.
And leads our PASS.
Thank you. Thank you.
Superintendent, Board of Trustees, thanks for having us tonight. I noticed a little trend earlier, so we got to warm you guys back up. You guys just came back from back east, right? How yous doing? How yous doing? You're not used to that yet? Come on. We brought the two amazing support people here today, our coordinators, Ms. Arcona, Ms. Romero Kennedy. I like calling you Romero Kennedy. Okay. Tonight, staff will share an update on the Pupil Attitudes to Self in School PASS survey. Pupil Attitudes to Self in School PASS is an online survey that assesses student social and emotional barriers to learning. The purpose of such a program is to help WSD staff to do the following better. Identify emotionally vulnerable students. Tackle challenging behavior by gaining a whole child's view. Inform teaching strategies and intervention programs to raise achievement and student well-being. Take a proactive and targeted approach to social emotional learning. Let me reiterate that. Take a proactive and targeted approach to social emotional learning. Next slide, please. So when you look at our alignment to the strategic plan, okay, that's not looking like the one we had updated. That's not the updated one that I shared. Guess want to take a stretch?
Yes, we can. I'm going to get some more water while we're all right. Maybe I'll.
Do you have it?
We do have, like,
We can do this.
we can do
We do this in the classroom all the time. I want you to think about this. So if you look at the Maasai people, This is something that's always stood out to me. And Maasai people always like to ask, and how are the children? And how are the children? And that's always stood out with me. That was told to me many, many years ago when I started as a teacher. And I want you to think about that. So the purpose of this is to inform the school board of the program that we're using to identify the social and emotional learning needs of the students, right? We give this twice a year. We give it twice a year, okay? So we gave it in September, end of September, and end of January. If you look at our alignment to the strategic plan, we're talking about the whole child. Healthy, safe, challenged, and supported. Then we're talking about under equity principles, removing the predictability of success or failure. We're trying to remove failure from their lives by delving in and figuring out the whole child. So when we were hearing the presentation earlier about iReady, I want to see what that correlation is too. As these kids are making improvement, how do they feel about school? Kind of like you're talking about your daughter. How do they feel about school? And then the last pillar, we want it to be a safe climate and we want equitable access for all. Next slide, please. So we're looking at the non-academic barriers, right, experienced by our students. And if you start looking at that picture, the graphic, these are things that we see: behavioral challenges, bullying, absenteeism, poor relationship, mental health issues, disengagement, much more than just academic, right? And we're asking ourselves, how can we support these kids? How do we identify these kids? How do we intervene early? How do we strategically plan to support them? Next slide. So upon giving this assessment, this screener, right? Assessment's probably a bad word. The screener, right? It's not an academic assessment. We look at the whole school. We look at a whole district. We look at a whole school. We look at a grade level. We look at a classroom. We look at an individual student. This is why it's imperative. And then we utilize this data to guide and inform our decisions for our kids in our district. So we're trying to identify those emotionally vulnerable students. We're tackling challenging behavior, right? We're informing teaching strategies and intervention programs. And then we want to take a proactive and targeted approach to SEL, social emotional learning. Next slide, please. This is basically what it looks like. I'm not going to, read this to you, but if you look at it, this is the process. We're going to survey them. We're going to get the data. We're going to analyze the data. And then we're going to use that data to, once again, guide and inform what we're doing as a district. Where do we spend our money? Where do we put our programs? What do we need to love on our kids more? That was said to me by Dr. Salas one day when we were going through the pass. He said he likes the pass because he tells us which kids need more love. And I thought, that's great as it comes. That's as good as it comes. Next slide, please. These are the 9 areas that it measures. There's about 50 questions total. Those 50 questions fall under those 9 areas, about 10, whatever, 8 to 10 questions per area. Today, we're going to talk about feelings about school, just kind of a sample of what it looks like. And this is a sampling that we looked at earlier in the year and then we'll look at again. So next slide, please. If you look at the feelings about school, it measures students' feelings of inclusion in or alienation from the school community. Look at our first, what you adopted today, alienation from the school community. How do we know if a child's feeling alienated? Before we had the social emotional screener, it was gut feeling. Gut feelings, guessing, thinking. Now we can screen and see how our kids are doing. Various subgroups. We do our gap analysis. We do our equity walks and talk. So think about that. So we talk about questions associated with this factor. Is the school a friendly place? I'd rather be somewhere else than in school. I think the rules in school are fair. I think this is a good school. We want to know these things from the kids, right? We want to know, how do they feel about this? As a teacher, you can drill down and see how your class feels about school. As a principal, you can drill down and see how your whole school is, a grade level, whatever, and then individual students. Okay, next slide, please. The amazing Rosario, are you ready? Okay.
Good evening, trustees. Can you hear me? So, as you are probably already familiar with, PASS measures the contextual factor of feelings about school, which is what we're highlighting tonight, through those questions or statements that Dr. Burns pointed out. And PASS is nationally normed, and data is reported in 4 percentile bands. So as an example, in the slides that will follow, you might see a score of 37.7 for third graders. And that means that the average third grader in Washington Unified scores higher than 37.7% of other third graders in our nation. And also in the data slides that will follow, you'll see mainly green and a few yellow bands indicating that most of our students are feeling a high or moderate satisfaction with their school experience. Next slide, please. This table shows district-wide 3rd through 12th grades percentiles for feelings about school in November alongside the percentiles in February. You might notice that for 7 out of 10 of our grade levels, we are in the green or high satisfaction band. Next slide, please. This table compares third grade level spans, 3 through 5, 6 through 8th, and 9 through 12th grades from November to February each on feelings about school by these subgroups. So for example, you see grades 3 through 5 for November alongside grades 3 through 5 for February for each of these selected subgroups. And I'm going to hand off to Mari so she can start to speak to the trends you might already be noticing.
Good evening, Dr. Hildreth and trustees. Hear me? If you can go to the next slide, please. So we identified some of these trends. And again, this is just a snapshot of this specific item. Across grades 3 through 5, you can see, right, noticeably that there was a slight decrease. This kind of averages out to about 6% in how students are feeling about school. You can see the highlights. We kind of highlighted the colors kind of associated with those different bands that they were talking about there. Also, grades 3 through 5, the subgroups, all the subgroups or ethnic subgroups kind of went down as well, other than Asian students. There was a decrease. For 6 through 8, our middle school students, there was an overall, again, decrease for middle school. And then, and for our 6 through 8 African-American students, did not have high satisfaction with their feelings about school. And as well, again, that decrease in the middle school. There was an interesting trend with the high school going up overall and their increase in how they're feeling about school. We're going to be taking kind of a deeper dive into looking at some of those data points and drilling down and seeing if those are in specific places, really specifically one grade level or school sites, and see what's kind of going on there. We have our suspicions, but we got to drill down a little bit more on that data. But again, to highlight, this is still very high scoring, right? We're not in the orange, we're not in the red. Like, these are students who are scoring above those norms across the nation. Next slide. Okay. Was there a question?
You want to ask it now, Vice President Wong?
It's just like, it's just the comment. I get its norm. It's still very percentage-wise very low. I get it. I said it last time when we did pass. Like, hopefully we do better than 27-30%. I get it. It's just a bell curve science. I have some more questions going back. So can we go back a couple of slides? So this slide is feelings about school, grades 6 through 8. What stands out to me is Black or African American students, grades 6 through 8. You go from 43.3 to 26.2. That's disturbing. Like, the margin, like you said, minimal, like 6%, but that is disturbing. So hopefully we drill down about, oh, I'm sorry, Mylan. Right, so just same thing, middle school, Asian Americans, 55.2 to 37. Maybe it's just the whole span. Yeah, it's like the whole span is pretty, but it's pretty.
And I think that's one of the things that we're looking at, especially with the work that the Equity Task Force is doing, and that we will be bringing information next month, is beginning to look at this data and do some root cause analysis. Because this, looking at it is that first step to realize, I have some questions. I'm curious about that. And then, as Mari said, it's then getting down to, is it across the board? Is it sixth grade? Is there certain school sites? So when we see data, usually it makes more questions. But this is just giving us that overall first initial of where to even start looking, so we can begin to know where to target, where to have the conversations. And I think using PASS for, it's been about a year now, is giving us the basic information, and I think you'll talk about it in next steps, of what we've learned in using this particular analysis and what our next steps are.
I mean, because earlier today, someone was talking about, talk to our students. I'm looking at our students aren't feeling very good about our campuses. Yeah.
These other things. But without this data, question, even look at fast.
We didn't.
We didn't.
No, I mean, I
We
said
didn't.
I used to say YRBS, but that's only one piece
had
of it,
no
and it's like
information.
lagging.
And
So
we
this
can
is-
drill down on this and actually identify individual students and be able to check in and support.
I know, I
So
appreciate
it's very
this.
powerful data, right?
I mean, I just don't want to gloss past it.
Oh,
that it would, because it wasn't here, and I was like, okay, let's just stick on this slide for a second, because what I said earlier, when we know better, we must do better. Right, and these are the data that we just, I appreciate you saying you're going to drill down, but those are the things, I had to name it.
Yep.
Because otherwise, we're just going to walk on past.
And Dr. Hildreth's 100% on point with, it's, an action item as we're going through our task force, drilling down some of these students specific.
You can move forward.
How many hours of talk going, what is this?
And for clarifying one more, I know that you went over this, but just to make sure as we go through and look at the data, the green you have is high satisfaction, yellow is moderate, orange is low, red is low, moderate, red is low. Does that mean that the way they answer the question, if it's like 1 through 5, they're either giving a 4 or 5? Or does that mean that there were students going all the way down here? I'm just wondering, even if you could just share that really briefly, because when you look at the color here versus we don't have the orange and red. I'm just trying to understand that. So can you just share really briefly then the color? Does that mean that most of them are saying that moderate satisfaction and high, or
Right,
just
so like you're saying, so you've got high satisfaction on the question, moderate, low, right, when you start asking on that 4-point scale. And then you got to remember, within each one of these feelings, the 9 areas that they're talking about, and feelings being one of them, about 8 to 10 questions that then give them that score to determine. It's not just one question determining that area. So it's about 8 to 10 questions that kind of back to that one where I talked about the questions, where I gave a list of the questions, and then they score it, like you said, 1 through 4 on that to see. But this, I really want you guys to think about this, because I really kept asking myself, how did we do this before? How did I do this? How did we do it? So, but next steps will kind of give you, because it's not perfect at this point.
Right.
We want, because when we start seeing 26.2, the first discussion was like, oh, the 3rd through 5th went down. What happened? Now, do we start correlating that to grades? Now you start geeking out on data, for lack of better terms, trying to drill down.
However, 20 percentage points is pretty bad, pretty distinct. They all went down, but there are only 2 groups that went down 20. Anyways, that's just my comment.
And then again, it's not I want to point out that this is one of the challenges that we're going to point out on that last slide. It's not a straight percentage. This is not the percentage of students. It's a percentile rank, which makes it a challenging piece. It's going to come out right now in our identified areas of concern, because that is confusing, right? When we're trying to present the data here and to teachers to understand that it doesn't represent 26% of your kids. So it's that is a challenge piece. Mario, can you go to that last slide? Next, keep going. The next one. Yeah. So we do have some concerns with this screener right now. Rosie especially, right? We're doing all kinds of investigating of others, because that limited language accessibility for students can make it a challenge and be a barrier for our students who speak English as a second language. It doesn't really provide any, thing that we can share with the parents. And then that data analysis piece, it's taken us like a whole year to really try to be able to navigate it. And even then, I'm a data person. I like to drill down on all our different platforms. This one is challenging. And I know if it's challenging for me to get that information, that means it's going to be really challenging for others. And right now, it's not an accessible platform for teachers. They depend on someone here to dig down, separate it out, hand it to your admin. Admin's got to hand it to you, and that's too many steps. And we're missing some things there. So for next steps, we are looking at others. I think we're going to end up doing something else, but that offers some more accessibility, especially for the teachers to be able to support. But either way, we will have a screener, whether we stick with PASS or move on. But we said we've never had. This is my 14th year in this district. This is my home, and I love this place. And to know that I was doing my best to try and screen kids and check in with kids as a teacher who I thought had something going on. These things will surprise you, and a kid who smiles every day and looks like everything is fine and does your work could be going through something that you have no idea about. And this will give you that little window and insight into how you can support them and not knowing that piece.
I don't know if they're done or not.
Any further questions?
Oh, we have questions, I think.
Go for
But I
it.
didn't know if you were done. But are you done with your slide? There's a thank you, so we wanted to make sure you weren't done. And I don't mean that we appreciate all of you, so I don't want you to feel like our questions are coming.
We have questions.
Comment though first.
The hard questions are for Rosie.
Thanks for the setup. No, I'm glad that we are. I'm glad that we're enthusiastic and intentional and just being really as descriptive as we can be, right? With this being something that we're doing for the first time. My question was going to be, how did we choose when to set the screening, and is it at the same time of the day in both dates? In working with middle schools, the time the time of the day, they are a completely different person. They're a completely different person in the morning, after lunch, and before. And I test them in different ways. And the groups that are right before lunch and after lunch do better in everything than the first, like those 8 a.m., 9 a.m. groups. So I'm just interested: is it at the exact same time, same day of the week? Like, how do we?
Yeah. Is there calibration between sites? Is there calibration? No, there isn't. When we implemented site by site's different, what time of day, when in a week, we gave them a 4-week window. A 4-week window. We also had to put this around the iReady testing, CAS testing, and other assessments. So then we landed on end of October, end of January. When we started looking, we also, in the beginning of the year, we said, how many weeks do we want to give these kids to kind of integrate into the school year before we assess them? Yeah. But you brought up a valid point, and now I'm sitting there going, no, we did not calibrate and say, let's make sure everybody's testing at the same time, whatever. We did not have that.
Yeah, because I'm thinking November is like 4 months into the school year, and they're coming from break.
Yeah.
February, and it was across we saw the dips in the so just overall how tightly we can get that window. I guess specifically, how do we choose when to? And I guess, the answer is there's all these other tests that we have to take. But also the time of the day, I think is really important just to kind of get more of a clear kind of.
I really like what you said. I'm sitting here going, like that one.
I know personally. I'm like, you're not this person.
Yeah. No, I really think that.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question. I think you presented this, I believe, earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And during that time, Al, you asked, how did you come up with these types of questions? And during that same time, you asked, how are we making sure that our English language learners are getting the question translated correctly? Did you guys do that? Were they the same questions as previous, or were they different questions? And in addition to that, did you guys work on translating them?
Right. So that's why this came up, and this is why we're looking at other screeners.
Okay.
For lack of better terms, I call it speed dating. We're speed dating all these different companies and meeting with them. And one of the big questions we come up with is, what does this look like in other languages when we present it to the kids? Is it actually going to be audio just like this, or is it just a piece of paper handing in front of them? Because for us right now in the past, it's just giving them the questions translated, right? Translated. So what if a child struggles with reading and it's not auditory or headphones? So yes, we actually, these questions came back from the last time we met, and now we've been meeting. And superintendent came back and said, what about this company? So we went to them. Then we reached out to Folsom Cordova, and they were using Panorama. And we said, okay, so we met with Panorama. We've met with a whole bunch of companies, keep asking, tell us about the language accessibility. What does that look like? This parent report brought up. We'd love to have a parent report, and we started asking, and then that data analysis, like the percentile versus percentages, is so confusing that I want it to be broken down so the teacher can look at it quick and go, oh, that makes sense what I'm looking at.
Just a standardized score like everything else we do in education, quite frankly. I get it. I get why they did it, because it's familiar. But we also have issues with other standardized testing, so.
Yeah, but but this one, I want it to be easy. We want it to be easy. Did I answer your question, Trustee
Yeah,
Crawford?
no, you did. It was just one of those, I just remember this conversation, and I also remember bringing up, because I was in the audience, and I'm like, okay, I as a parent, how do I know how my kid is doing? Because, and you asked that question, and I was like, yeah, thank you. You read my mind, because I want to know. Because especially, I know that yellow is okay, green is yay, red is not so much. But if my kid was in red or orange, I would want to know what's going on.
Okay, I might be overbearing daddy, but yellow might even concern me.
I mean, yeah.
Right.
I mean, just the fact that 30% is green, but I guess that's against the national, right? So
yeah, and how does a parent know? Because we want to engage our parents so that they can support their children in our schools, so we can have these conversations. I'm glad we're having this, but as we're meeting, we're looking for a unicorn as we meet with these companies, and it's.
You need a new
maybe
business.
you need
There's a
to
whole
create the
business out there.
unicorn.
There's need a new app.
Just saying. But it's good that we're getting, at least looking at this. This is something that's, we haven't been doing it for years. I commend you guys for trying something new, so.
And I think that as you shared this, I really appreciate it. And I didn't make it clear in the last presentation that I do think it's really important to have the data. And so thank you, for bringing these tools and for starting the baseline and doing all of that. It's important. And then just being eyes wide open in terms of what are unintended consequences. So I thought about this as you think about the next screener. At first I thought, yeah, a parent piece would be great, because while I just shared how there might be times where that data can be challenging, that it is generally really nice for a parent to get that paper home. But then I thought about, I think that the Panorama is actually anonymous. I don't know my individual students. So then I just asked that question of, do you think the students would answer it the same way if they knew that their families would see it? So that's just my question to you. I see two sides to that suddenly.
Rosie and I have been having that exact conversation today because we go back and forth between that, especially as our kids get older and the trust building, and if they know that mom and dad are going to get a printout sent home. So we've been having lots of conversations about it because I have similar feelings where it's like, yes, I want to know because I'm that mom too. But also when my kid's in 7th grade, I also want her to feel like she can say something and get help from an adult at school if she feels like she can't tell me.
Yeah. And if you know who it is, you know who to follow up with. So it is a challenge. I think about my daughter who came home and she disclosed this. So I said, how did it go today? And she goes, oh, I took this survey. Mom, one of the questions asked if I feel safe at school. And I said, no. Like, no. And she said, because kids are running on the playground and they keep telling them not to run on the playground because it's not safe, but they aren't listening and people are running. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're messing up all of our data. So
it's a safety issue.
no, it's like a rule following issue along with it. So I say that because there is a challenge of both. Because if you were able to see, wow, this child marked that, hey, why did you do that? You quickly go, okay, that's something to address, but not the same as feel like I'm being targeted by my peers or something. So, okay. Well, as you continue to grapple that, thank you for working on those big questions.
Sorry for the hard question. No, I just appreciate you. It is better than nothing. Something is better than nothing.
I just wanted to mention we are looking at what is formative and what is summative and what's anonymous and what's not. So we know that California Healthy Kids Survey, which many schools are in the process of finishing up, is anonymous, but it's summative because it's only one time and at the end of the year. We're looking at SEL screeners that can be formative, in various companies are trying to woo us because, so one yesterday we thought would give us student reports and they said, no, it's actually anonymous, ish. So we're looking at the student accessibility, the data accessibility by the adults who need to look at the data, and then also, how is the data disaggregated in a friendly way and reported as favorable responses versus percentiles.
Can I thank the board and Superintendent Hildreth? These two coordinators that we hired are amazing. I'm just grateful to work alongside of them. I'm learning from them every day. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, and that now takes us to the consent agenda. Are there any comments on the consent agenda? Thank you. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move the consent agenda.
Okay.
The boys.
Okay, so trustee Pizzotti makes the motion, and then trustee Venegas seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
I too vote aye. Thank you. That now takes us to business services, or action items, I'm sorry. Number 1 is business services. Oh, that's right, yes. Items for approval. And we have Monique Stovall, Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. Are you doing these in one foul swoop? Is that what I'm seeing? In 3 individuals? Okay. Apologies, I was thrown for approval of amendment number 1 for NTech Consulting Group, Inc.
Okay, thank you. This evening, the first item is to request approval of a contract amendment. The contract was approved on December 9th for hazardous material testing for the Westfield Village Elementary School Modernization Project. The amendment is to add testing for the portables on that campus that are going to be demolished. It will add about $8,700 to the contract, bringing the contract total to $47,500 paid out of the Measure Z fund. We ask for your approval of the amendment.
Okay. Are there any public comments? Okay. Any questions or comments by the board? Okay. Can I have a motion to approve? Okay. Motion by trustee Venegas, seconded by Vice President Wong. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I too vote aye. Okay, that takes us to B, approval of agreement of moving services and managed facility solutions.
So this next item is exciting because it is to begin really the on-the-ground work to begin moving the materials at our current Westfield Village Elementary School campus to their temporary location in June so that we can start construction on the campus. And so we are asking for approval of this contract for the moving services to take everything from one school to the next school. And also they will come back right before the beginning of the year to make sure that everything is ready so we can have a successful start to the year. The contract amount is $84,801.86, and we ask for your approval.
Okay. Are there any public comments?
No public comments?
Okay, and any questions or comments from the board? Can I have a motion?
I move.
A second?
Okay, moved by Trustee Venegas, seconded by Vice President Wong. All in favor?
Aye.
I too vote aye. Thank you. And that now takes us to C, approval of amendment number 1 to the agreement with Excel Construction.
This is another exciting action item, and I am joined by members of our Measure Z Westfield Village Elementary School Modernization Project with Omar Pena.
Thank you for staying so late.
For this?
Yes.
For us.
You didn't expect it would be this long. So you can come on up. Daniel, if you'd like to join us. Oh. Didn't expect it this long.
I was trying to figure out who he was.
Yes. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Omar Pena, and I am the Interim Director of Facilities, Construction, and Planning with Washington Unified. Thank you.
Also with Capital Program Management, who has been part of our district and on our Measure Z project for a couple years, helping us with cost estimates. And then you've approved some contract amendments so that they continue to help us in our Measure Z. So another exciting part for the Measure Z Westfield Village project, we are asking for your approval for the amendment to add the dollar amount that guarantees the construction cost for the project. What I'm really excited about, and I'll say we're really excited about, is that the guaranteed max price, the GMP, is just a little bit lower than what you approved of the construction cost. $24,000 out, because we want to reserve all the monies that we can for future projects for Measure Z. Most importantly, though, we want to make sure that we have a great project for our students. So we're asking for your amendment to add that dollar amount for the contract, and we're open to any questions that you or the community might.
Is there any public comment?
No public comments?
Okay. Are there any questions or comments by the board? Other than a lot of gratitude, thank you for being here. Okay, can I get a motion?
I motion.
Okay, motion by Clerk
Second.
Coffey, seconded by Trustee Pizzotti. All in favor?
Aye.
I too vote aye. Thank you.
Thanks for staying so late.
Yeah. Okay.
Talk to me.
Okay, and we already went through Board Governance 1, which was the resolution. I would ask if we could move, and we might not be able to, but for the first read and adoption of the 5,000 series, do we need to do that this evening in terms of a timeline? No? We do not. Okay, can I ask, okay, thanks. Can I ask that we consider moving that to the next meeting, or what the thoughts are of others?
Short one.
It's a short one?
It's really not that.
Oh, okay, then we'll do it.
The super short
Okay,
one.
all right, then. First read and adoption of the 5,000 series board policy administrative regulations. Dr. Jay Burns.
Just to give you background on this, thank you for having me again, Superintendent and trustees. This went to the subcommittee back on March 8th. They reviewed it, and this is what the subcommittee is now forwarding to you. So board policy number 5131.7, the governing board recognizes that students and staff have the right to a safe and secure campus, free from physical and psychological harm, and desires to protect them from the dangers presented by firearms and other weapons. So basically, the subcommittee looked at this, reviewed it, and this is what they're recommending is the board policy.
Okay, are there any public comments?
No public comments?
Okay, and Are there any comments or questions from the board?
Thank you for making the amendments. The only thing is that we are not adopting the option 2, right?
Correct. Correct.
So that's
correct.
the only thing.
Yes, that'll be removed.
Just when we close, where it says option 2, that
Yep.
is not what we're
That
adopting.
needs to be stricken.
Otherwise, it's
Can you say
straightforward.
what page that is? I saw
That's
option.
this is
yeah.
just the instructions.
Oh,
The instructions are not part of the,
okay. Got it. Okay.
we just don't believe in having dangerous objects on school.
Thank you. All right.
Guns, knives, daggers, concealed, otherwise anything that propels from a barrel. Questions?
Okay. You're right. That was good. All right. Can I get a motion to approve?
I move.
Okay, moved by Vice President Wong,
I second.
seconded by Clerk Coffey. All in favor?
Aye.
I too vote aye.
Okay.
Okay, that takes us to board and superintendent comment.
We have one more administrative regulation.
What?
We have the
yeah.
board policy
Oh,
and the
it's
administrative.
just one swoop.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think they're separate action.
Oh, no,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's both.
Oh, yeah, they were both, you're right. They're both together on the agenda. We saw them both. Okay. All right, so Dr. Hildreth.
Thank you. So good evening. I have several highlights to share, so I'm going to jump right in. And I think I want to start with all that we heard, especially at the beginning of the meeting, starting with so many celebrations, and then the level of advocacy that we have for our students is just amazing. It really is, it just makes your heart full. And I think the one thing that I just want to highlight and hope, I should say, everyone remembers that kindness is free. To be kind costs us nothing. And it's those little acts of kindness that also make our kids feel seen and the adults feel seen and heard too. So that was just something that came to mind, just helping everyone to remember that it's the way that we treat people that really makes a difference. And then it reminded me of a quote that I saw when we had our opportunity to be at the African American Museum as part of our advocacy trip. And it's a quote from Frederick Douglass, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." And that really is what we're trying to do, not just with our transgender visibility resolution and all the supports we provide for our students, but using our past data. How do we know what our kids need? Because our goal is to have strong children and not have to spend the time and all of the struggle to repair them. If we do what's right now, hopefully, I mean, that's a lofty goal, but it is something that I know really drives at least all of the staff and the board of doing the work that we do. So I wanted to start with that, and then wanted to highlight something that Christopher shared, our student board member, about our YOLO students being able to go to the prom for the first time. And I want to especially thank Principal Young and Ellie for sharing some of the challenges that the students have we all who have experienced going to proms ourselves or having children have gone to proms, that there's a cost to that. And that's sometimes an unseen challenge. And so they were just sharing with us how our YOLO students could use some support. And so I was having a conversation with Denise, the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and our Rotary. And the next day after our conversation, the Rotary raised $941 for our YOLO students to go to the prom. So that's community. Just hearing that our kids have a need, just in a random conversation, and all of a sudden about $1,000 is given to the school the next day. That does not happen everywhere, but that does happen in West Sacramento, and that does happen in Washington Unified, which makes this such a great place to be. So thank you, Rotary. I will be at the meeting tomorrow to thank them personally because we are so, so, so grateful. Also, in this final week of April, we want to invite everyone in our community to show appreciation for some of the hardest working individuals on our school campuses and district offices, and that's our administrative professionals. And so Administrative Professionals Week was April 23rd through the 29th. And today is actually Administrators Professional Day. And they hold incredibly diverse roles, going above and beyond to support teams of people in our school communities. They are the link between parents, teachers, and administrators, graciously completing various tasks, including accounting, scheduling appointments, maintaining calendars, caring for students and staff. So thank you to our WUSD administrative professionals. We appreciate all that you do for our school community. Thanks, Mario. Also want to highlight April is School Library Month. And in WUSD, we are proud that our school libraries are valuable resources for teachers and students that encourage growth and the development of literacy while fostering a deep appreciation for the ideas and beliefs of a variety of social, political, historical, and ethnic groups and their contributions to the American and world heritage and culture. Additionally, our school libraries are fun-filled places for students to go and explore their curiosity and ideas. So we are excited about our libraries, and we want everyone in our community, in our country, to be excited about libraries too. Saturday, we have the Kifami Youth Gathering, and that is taking place at River City High School. It's sponsored by Yolo County Office of Ed and Washington Unified School District, where we're going to have a one-day gathering focused on African American students. And it's going to be open to all 7th through 12th graders in Yolo County. The event will include workshops, speakers, performances, and free breakfast and lunch for participants. And more information is available on our website and social media. Washington Middle College High School, I want to give them a shout out because they made the Sacramento Bee's list of top 10 high schools in the entire Sacramento region to achieve a higher rate of 12th grader admission to a University of California campus, higher than the statewide average. So congratulations to our middle college students. And as we think about community schools and bringing in resources that our families need, yesterday there was a free student farmers market at River City High School, which highlighted the importance of raising awareness for and reducing the stigma of food insecurity by increasing access to fresh local food. So many thanks to the teams of amazing people at the YOLO Food Bank, the Building Owners and Managers Association of Sacramento, and the Central Valley Yolo County Office of Ed, River City, and Sacramento chef Greg Dismangles for the culinary demonstration. And there's lots of photos and things and information on our social media site. And then lastly, I want to thank President Kirby Gonzalez and Vice President Wong for their collaboration and advocacy for Washington Unified in public education at this week's Coast to Coast Federal Advocacy trip in Washington, D.C. Our team joined the California School Boards Association, CSBA, and the Association of California School Administrators, ACSA, to help shine a light on the issues affecting California's 6 million K-12 students. It was a phenomenal opportunity for us to have a seat at the table and have our voice represented. So that's it for me, and thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Pizzotti, sometimes known as Trustee Venegas.
Otherwise known as. Thank you. And I wanted to say thank you again to our community to come out and support our trans students with support of the resolution. Again, I'm always so impressed with how loving and caring our community members really are. So I wanted to say thank you to them. Thank you, Mario, for all the work you do for Administrative Professionals Day. So thank you so much. We do appreciate you. Let's see. There was something I wanted to bring up. I don't know. Well, I know we didn't get to think that or recognize them because I think it was a stormy night with the wrestling team. We were supposed to do that, but we didn't get to. And by and large, there was like 5 people in the audience anyway. So I would love to, if we could, bring them back and recognize the wrestling team for their tremendous accomplishments, especially the 2 individuals that went to state, but not just them, but the entire team, because they did accomplish quite a bit. Other than that, we do have a 2x2 on Monday, and we will be talking or getting an update on the joint use agreement, or the joint use of Westmore Oaks Field, and then another update on some of our joint uses of our facilities and park. So that is coming up at our next 2x2. And with that, I'm going to take off a little bit early. My wife, a little bit of an issue.
Okay. We will make sure to put those on future agenda items, and apologies again for my name issues earlier. All right, and that takes us now to Trustee Venegas.
I'll keep it short. Gracias. Thank you to everybody. When my nieces and my nephews ask me, why are the meetings so long and what do you do at the meetings? I enjoy this type of meeting, the type of meetings where we just take moments to acknowledge the work that we all do, the work that you all do, and what we represent as West Sacramento. So I'll be telling them that I enjoyed tonight's meeting. So thank you all. Get some rest. Get some rest. Everybody get some rest.
Clerk Coffee.
All right. So I really had, when we saw the aspiring tutors, that was just something that I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I had did that in high school. I went to school to be a teacher. I mean, I'm not one anymore in the classroom setting, but I'm always a teacher. I'm always in different settings anyway. So it's just seeing that was phenomenal. Just loved it. So wanted to also recognize that we have so many spring sports happening. Allergy season is amongst us. So definitely take your pills. The boys and girls, the soccer team. I'm watching middle schools out there at the River City High School practice field. It's great seeing our youth compete against each other, but I want us to remember, parents, that all of these kids are going to be at high school together, so support all of them. Yes, we know that lions can eat ducks in the real world, but that doesn't mean that that's what happens, and with our schools. So yes, it's competitive. Let's make it a healthy competition, not anything crazy. I know, because I'm an otter. I was gonna say, it's like an otter. I'm an otter. Guys, don't come to the water. So just saying that, just wanted to make sure that was known. Yay, honk. If you guys don't have your tickets, get them. Yeah, I have mine. Taking the kids, I'm really excited. Tomorrow, there is going to be a multicultural food festival at Riverbank, and I'm really excited. I'm gonna be there with my chicken mole, so hopefully I don't mess it up, as it's a family recipe. So, poor things. And the last thing, I have a question. We're now coming close to the end of April. We have one more month before graduation. YOLO handball wall. What's the status on that? Been, some time. So if we could, I would really, really, really want to see if we could get something, at least given information to these kids. It'd be great. Now I feel like there's a time clock. That's all I got.
And we will follow up. We've been sharing some updates with Principal Young, and we'll make sure that that information is shared also with the board and that it gets to the students.
Vice President Wong.
Did all the things earlier, but thank you all for everything. The only thing is that we were missing is Project to Inspire, the support. Another Tracy Stan. Tracy's, you know what I mean. Again, I need some sleep here. And so it was just really, I caught the tail end. I know you got the beginning, but it was really great that it's not just our students, it's our parents that we're serving. And so it was really great to be part of the celebration. So thank you for always including us. On that, I'm going to go home and go to sleep for a few hours.
In just a minute, because first I'm going to share a couple things, but I'll go quick. I did have I need to share, I had a great visit at Southport, and I really appreciated getting to go into all of the classrooms and just see the learning in action. And I have to say what was so evident to me was going through the middle school classrooms and seeing the pride flags and the transgender pride flags, and that's one piece of this puzzle. But it was just really, you just walk into a room and you feel like our students are seeing that and acknowledging it, and I appreciated that step that I saw. I also really loved hearing from the support staff and the teachers that they were doing some just incredible things. This is always happening on our schools, and it was really fun, and nothing's better than hearing teachers who are excited about what they're doing, like we heard earlier as well. One thing that was important to see there that I want to bring up is, as we think about our caseloads, that was brought up here as well, especially when we think about schools that serve many students who are in SDC, that we want to make sure that we support inclusion. And to do that, it does help as we think about next year and building our class size, that we think about, if we know we have classrooms where there will be inclusion, that we can hold some of those seats open so that there's room for our kiddos to be welcomed in with open arms and to be included into the lessons. Because if you have a full case class, and then sometimes it's hard to just negotiate a classroom, and we want to make sure that there's space. And we also talked a little bit about campus safety and just the idea of getting it to and from places, and that sometimes that's a challenge for our little ones. That I walked the path, and we walked quite the adventure all around from TK up and through another kindergarten. And so thinking about that as well in terms of what ways maybe we can use our facility dollars to help support some of those pieces. And then I don't think I spoke about it last time, and my timeline is all off right now, but I really appreciated seeing the behavior threat assessment, Dr. Burns, and we had the full staff there, and that was in partnership with West Sacramento Police Department had a grant, if I'm correct on that, and it was really, really well done about the need to be, to really have a team. And so in that work, I know we are aware of the comments that were made earlier as well with our police partners, but it is critical that we have positive relationships with our police department, because that is preventative if we can help support. And if our staff know who to call and who to bring in for our kids versus a phone call that is not that positive partner where you're just making a call because somebody's in trouble. That's when it can be not a good situation for our kids. So I think continuing to build on that, I'm 100% supportive of that work. It's clearly needed. Our principals need it too. And I would be interested in hearing what additional supports our principals feel that they need and admin as we navigate this and look at the team that you're going to have for the behavioral threat assessment. And do we have all the voices that we need? Very important. I appreciated hearing the idea as well as having paraeducators training with the teachers. And as we think about the fall, if you know that we're moving paraeducators around, I think that's a beautiful idea to kind of establish that partnership early, which was shared with us too. And then I will just say that the advocacy trip, I really want to thank our board colleagues here because they also approved it. And I really want to thank you for that. I think that we represented well, and there was a lot of things that were learned too to improve on it in the future, and so that whoever is in this seat if they choose to go. I think it was very beneficial, and the stories that are here were told. And I just want to thank you all for the work you do, because it's really important, and we just deeply appreciate you. And speaking of deeply appreciate, Mario, we do have a little something for you just from the board, so I will bring this over to you as well. It's not a crown, that might.
Amazing.
Okay, that takes us to future board agenda items. And we heard from trustee, are we going to dance? We heard from trustee Posadi that he would like to have, make sure that we honor the wrestling celebrations. I'd also like to add the community schools update, make sure that's here. And then possibly, I know it's too late for the agenda, but I thought about the demographer report that was so well done, and I so appreciate that presentation. Maybe if there's a way that we can just bring a document to share, because there is an open business time there. I know not to do a full presentation, but to share that with the city, because as we learn, there's a lot of misconceptions in our community, and I think that's really good information for them to have. Any other comments for future board agenda items? Okay, well, with that, we'll close the meeting, and trustee Venegas will take us out with some music, I think.